Yes! I'm back again. What is going on? 3 in a row. It's Friday night, ladies and gentlemen. Friday, January the 27th, 2023, 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is Friday night. Yes! Let's chat. Let's talk. What's going on? What's happening? What's doing? Cocaine Bear is coming soon. Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey is coming soon. Cocaine Bear, Heroin Bear, Marijuana Bear. It's a whole series. One more time. Yes. Chester Franklin Jr. is here. Tiffany Moses, Shantae. Andrew Stevens, my man. Andrew Stevens is here. Richie Rich. I'm digging Richie Rich's avatar. Buffalo Saber Goat Head, even though it's not a goat, it's a buffalo, but you know, whatever. Friday night, ladies and gentlemen, Friday night. What do you guys want to talk about? Let's get the ball rolling. Let's jump into it. What do you guys want to talk about? Questions you have? I don't know. Edward Nito sends in $5, says the best intro music for these live shows. Yeah, that is a good one, isn't it? There's that one. There's this one I haven't played in a while. That's a good one. There's this one, of course. Oh, well, there's that, but not that one. This one. I got a lot of good ones. What else I got on here? What else do I have on here? It's a lot of good ones I have. A lot of good ones. I agree. Some good intro music indeed. Yeah, 84 people watching so far. That is right, Andrew Stevens. Get those likes up. Get them up, ladies and gentlemen. What the hell are you doing? Richie Rich says, listen, if Back to the Future was being made, I would have heard about it. That's not something you can keep secret and film even with Star Wars. Is somebody talking about Back to the Future? I haven't heard anything in regards to Back to the Future. Look, Back to the Future is always something that has been tossed around, you know, Back to the Future remake. But Robert Zemeckis has said, as long as I'm alive, nobody's going to make it. Okay. All right. Robert Zemeckis, Bob Zemeckis, and Bob Gale. I'm not confident that they would remake Back to the Future. Why? What is the point of it's not like it's a movie that... Here's the thing with Back to the Future and why it's kind of useless to remake it. I mean, not completely useless. You could remake it and set it in, you know, instead of 85 to 55, it's now like, you know, 2015 back to 85, you know, or something like that. But the thing with Back to the Future is it wasn't a special effects driven film, the first movie. Not that it didn't have special effects in it. It did. Of course it did. And the series did, of course. But that wasn't like, it wasn't a special effects driven film or series. It was all story and character and heart. So can you do that better today? Like my thought is always, if you're going to remake something, and listen, obviously they remake movies because they're popular IPs and they can make money if it's done well. And I get all that. But I'm thinking to myself, well, like something like, I don't know, Dark Star from John Carpenter, or, some 70s or 80s movie with bad special effects or whatever. Okay. Yeah, I get it. But Back to the Future, it's not like, yeah, I just don't think I think it's kind of a useless movie to tackle because the story still holds up today. So just, yeah, I could understand if maybe it was more relevant today, the themes, maybe the social commentary, if there were any, and the effects. Oh, the effects are very much like, I don't know, like, just something that's got bad special effects. But yeah, I don't think that's something that is the case with Back to the Future. So Stephen Byrne sends in $5, says, have you ever listened to Unbending Puppets? They do a club version of Halloween music and script reads. Never heard of Unbending Puppets. I've never heard of Unbending Puppets, but I will Google them and find out what's going on. Resident Dr. Evil says, no more lazy, crappy remakes, requels. Just came up. They will all just come up with something else. Almost all of the great old franchises have been destroyed by Hollywood at this point. I think, with respect, I think I understand what you're saying and I understand how you feel. I think it's time for people I think if more people, and I'm not saying I'm just saying in general, I think if more people took time to kind of really understand how certain things work, we wouldn't, and maybe that's why I'm like kind of mad about it now. You're not wrong in what you're saying. I mean, obviously they do remake a lot of stuff, right? I mean, we know that, and usually those things are just pointless to remake them, and we know that for sure. But I guess, like, okay, so take this, for example, right? The Oscars. I did a video on this the other day, but it bears repeating here because that's a good kind of point, to piggyback off of. I see all the time, and it doesn't fail every year. You take the horror genre, and traditionally horror movies are never nominated. Not never, but, traditionally they're not nominated for Academy Awards like Best Picture or Best Actor or whatever. And you will get a lot of people every year being like, I can't believe the Academy snubbed this person. I can't believe the Academy snubbed this movie. And it's a horror movie or an actor or an actress from a horror movie. And my first thought is always, well, did the studio even submit the movie for consideration? I don't think people understand, not people in, everybody, but generally speaking, film fans have to begin to understand that in order for a movie to be considered for the Oscars, the studios have to first submit that movie for consideration. And if they don't submit that movie, then it can't get nominated. It can't get nominated for anything, any of the categories, right? So let's take Pearl, for example, right? Everybody was up in arms. Mia Goth didn't get nominated. Well, did A24 submit it? Because if they didn't, I don't know, maybe they did and it wasn't accepted. I'm not sure. But if they didn't, well, that's not the Academy's fault, is it? That's A24. And maybe A24 was like, hey, we got The Whale, we got Everything Everywhere All at Once. These are more likely to get us Oscar noms, so we're going to push those movies and leave Pearl by. So that's an A24 thing. That's not, and that's not to say that the Academy doesn't, I'm not saying it, but it's not all the Academy, right? So, and I think people just think that every movie that's ever released in a year is up for potential. No. You have to submit. And if you don't submit, there's no chance, And I think some people think, again, I'm not actually think, but I think we sometimes forget that the Academy is not like a group of 12 people that are watching every single movie and every single performance and just going, you are nominated, you are not, you are nominated, you are not, like it's some sort of judge or something. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. It's made up of about 7,000 or 8,000 voting members. It's actors and actresses and directors and stunt performers and you name it, producers. So studios have to submit, and if they don't submit, then there's no chance. Once you submit, if your film is accepted, then you are given a list of criteria that you must follow for your promotional Oscar campaign, your Oscar push, and the studios will put a lot of money into that campaign. They have to pay to submit as well. You got to put some money in there to submit. And then if you are accepted, there's no guarantees that you will be, but if you are, then there's rules you have to follow and you want to put a lot of money and mount this big push and get your movie in as front of many eyes and voting members as possible and get on talk shows and, whatever the case is, right? It's a big deal. And so I think I don't think we can just point the finger at the Academy. I think there is good reason to think that, the Academy probably doesn't look 100%, but it's not just that, right? You know what I mean? There probably have been many, many years where you're like, how come that horror movie didn't get nominated? Fuck you, Academy. It's like, well, actually, the studio didn't submit it. Now, maybe it wouldn't have been accepted, but the studio didn't submit it. So blame the studio. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal. So yes. So the movies that you see get nominated were submitted for consideration. Keep that in mind. So I just think it's important that film fans know this. We should know this, right? You're a movie fan. You're a film fan, right? So the question shouldn't be, how come Mia Goth didn't get nominated? The question should be, was she submitted? Maybe that's why she didn't get nominated, because A24 didn't submit the movie. Well, there you have it. That's not to say that had she been, she would have been nominated. I'm just saying, right? Anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about. And I don't claim to know everything. I just think that, I find these things interesting, right? It's good to know this stuff. That way you're informed and you can kind of look at things a bit differently. You know what I mean? I think it's cool anyway. I like that business, nitty gritty stuff. Let me see here. A super chat from Josh McKenna sends a $9.99, says, can you explain the rating system? I was going to watch Midnight Cowboy, but IMDb claims it was originally rated X. The X rating scared me away. I'm not interested in that film genre. X equals filthy. Midnight Cowboy, the rating system, X, I don't know. I mean, rating systems vary from country to country. So, but of course in the States, it's G, PG, PG-13, R, and then I think NC-17 or something to that degree. X is, as far as I know, X is X rated. Is Midnight Cowboy X rated? Is that what IMDb says? IMDb is, don't trust anything on IMDb. Okay. Don't trust the ratings on IMDb. Don't trust the film ratings on IMDb. Watch a trailer and find out for yourself if it's something that you feel comfortable in exploring. But yeah, PG, G is general audiences, right? Everybody can watch it, no matter how old you are. PG is parental guidance. So it's just kind of kind of be mindful that there may be, somebody might say, damn, or holy hell, or something, right? Once you get into, maybe not. That's more PG-13. PG is kind of for everybody, but just kind of, maybe there's an action scene or something. PG-13, you might get your hell and your damn and things like that. But once you add the word fuck in there and show some boobies, it becomes R. So, but everybody's different. Here in Canada, we don't have PG-13. Our PG-13 is 14A. Now, when I was a teenager, it used to be AA, adult accompaniment. Now it's 14A. So that's like PG-13, 14A. It's the same thing. That's our equivalent, essentially. We do have R, but it's known as 18A here. But nobody says like even here in Canada, nobody says 14A. Oh, it's 14A. Nah, it's PG-13, And if I see a movie that's 18A, everybody's like, yeah, it's R. It's because it's so embedded into the pop culture, because even though we live in Canada, our entertainment industries are so intertwined and so interconnected that even though we have our own rating system here in Canada, and it might vary slightly from province to province, R and PG-13 is so embedded into the Hollywood movie pop culture zeitgeist that's what we think of too, right? You know what I mean? Just kind of the way it is. So I would just do a bit of digging. I'd do a bit of digging because I don't know. Ian David Strange just sends in £1 and 79 pence. Thank you, Ian. Appreciate that very much. Not a Hero says, the curse of the horror, science fiction, and fantasy film never nominated for an Academy Award was broken 18 times over by The Return of the King, which won Best Picture. I find it ridiculous. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess so. Well, and people have to understand, too, that there are awards for science fiction, horror, and fantasy. They're called the Saturn Awards, and they're awarded annually every single year. So I know that it's not, the Saturn Awards are not, don't carry the cachet like the Academy Awards do. And yes, it is true that traditionally horror movies are not nominated for Academy Awards. However, horror movies have been nominated for Academy Awards, but they are more they are more in the psychological realm. They are just better movies. Like traditionally, slasher movies are not what would be considered Academy Award winning, Oscar material. Right? But if you start to get into sort of as elevated horror, into the more psychological realms, like your Silence of the Lambs or your Get Out, right? They can, a horror movie has to penetrate. Halloween's not going to be nominated for a horror movie. Okay. A horror movie, an Oscar. A horror movie has to really capture, the pop culture zeitgeist in terms of going beyond the threshold of the horror movie going audience into the general movie going audience, like The Sixth Sense did. Do you know what I mean? It's really got it yes, it is an uphill battle for horror movies because there is a stigma. There is a sort of a kind of a thing around horror movies. So if you want a horror movie, if you want your horror movie to be submitted, because remember, if it's not submitted for consideration, it ain't going to get nominated, no matter how good it is, no matter how much money it made, right? So if the studio is going to take a chance on your horror movie, it has to believe that there's a chance that it could not just get nominated, but win, because the studio is about to mount a multi-million-dollar campaign to push it into as front of as many eyeballs as possible, right? And voting members, right? It's going to mount this multi-million-dollar campaign. They're not going to do that for a movie they don't believe has the Oscar has the potential to become an Oscar nominee and certainly a winner, right? And that's what it's about. No matter how good it is, they need to believe in it. They need to look at their film and go, you know what? If we fucking submit this, we got a good chance of fucking getting nominated here. And so, I think we got a really good chance. A really good chance. You know what I mean? And then why would they feel that way? So why would they feel that way? Well, they would feel that way because of how it resonated with the audience, right? Did it make a lot of money beyond the horror audience, right? Has it embedded itself into the pop culture? Is it like, wow, like people are going like, have you seen that? Did you see that movie? Have you fucking seen that? You gotta see that movie. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Then they might go, I think we should capitalize on this. And submit this fucking thing, right? Right? That is when studios are going to take chances on horror movies. You can't just put out a horror movie, and expect it's got to be the best of the best. It's got to supersede. It's got to supersede the genre it's in, essentially. And I know it's like, and right or wrong, that's a debate for another show, but that's how it's done. That's why Blumhouse took a chance on Get Out, because look at the response of Get Out. Everyone's like, Get Out, Get Out. Whether you liked it or not, it was going. I was, oh, we got it. We should do this. You know what I'm saying? Look at Silence of the Lambs, right? You know what I mean? It takes a certain kind of horror movie. Friday the 13th, part 11, is not going to be submitted for Oscar consideration. Hey, let's submit that let's submit Halloween 38. It's just, let's submit Halloween Kills. No, they're not going to spend millions of dollars because it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So anyway, but yeah, it can get crazy. It can get crazy. And again, I don't claim to have all the answers. I just find this stuff interesting. It's cool to know this. We all should know this as film fans. How do movies get nominated? Oh yeah, and that's not exclusive to the Oscars, right? The Emmys are like that. The Grammys are like that. The Voice Arts Awards are like that, right? A lot of the big award shows, you have to submit. And then hopefully you get nominated. You know what I mean? But there's no guarantees. A lot of the big award, the Annies for animation, they're like that as well. A lot of big award shows are like that. De Bears Live 96 cents and $4.99 says, hey Dave, have you seen Watcher? I think you'd enjoy that film based on your taste. Came out last year, Rear Window vibes and a great train scene. Yes. No, I haven't seen it, but I know the movie you're talking about, and I do have to watch it. I do want to watch it. I remember watching the trailer for it and thinking it was really you're bang on. Like, it really caught my attention. I was like, ooh, this is interesting. I gotta watch it. I haven't watched it yet. I was really disappointed with The Woman in the Window. Really disappointed because it had such a great cast. Amy Adams, Gary Oldman. Oh man, such a great cast, and what a fart in the wind of a movie. I was so disappointed. But I really liked the spoof that Kristen Bell did. There was like a mini series. It was called like The Woman Across the Street from the Woman in the Window or something like that. I think it was based on a book. And that was cute. I thought that was a really fun. It was good. I liked that way better than The Woman in the Window. But The Watcher, yeah, similar kind of thing. Rear Window, yeah, same kind of vibe, right? Yes, I got to watch it. I haven't watched it yet, but I got to watch it. Sebastian sends in $4.99 and says, what's up, Dave? Great seeing you again. Thank you very much, Sebastian. Just wanted to say, appreciate you, man. And have you seen the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films? If so, what are your thoughts? Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. I like them. I do. I even like the third one, although obviously not as good as the second or the first one. But I like them. Yeah, I liked Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker. I thought the movies were fun. I thought they were really good. It's too bad that they never got to do a fourth one and sort of wrap it up. Because that third one ends with, Peter Parker and what's-her-face there dancing, and it's a weird, like, obviously they didn't know that was it, right? You know what I mean? Or maybe they would have kind of put a bit more of a bow on it, but it's a strange movie. It's weird. But unfortunately, yeah, they didn't, Sam Raimi was going to do a fourth one, and then Raimi got, the studio was like, no, to his idea. So Raimi was out, and when Raimi left, Tobey Maguire left. And then when Tobey Maguire left, well, that was just it. It's it. It's done. You know what I mean? And, but yeah, I liked them. I did. I'm trying to remember if I saw any of them in the theater. For some reason, I feel like I saw the second one in the theater. I might have. I don't think I saw the first one in the theater. The first one was 2002. The second was 2004. The third was 2007, I believe. I didn't see the third one in the theater. Didn't see the first one in the theater, but I'm pretty sure I saw the second one in the theater. But yeah, no, I like them. Matthew Farisi sends in $4.99, says, Ralph Fiennes in The Menu was my favorite performance of 2022. By the way, I still haven't seen The Menu yet, but I'd love to see it. I hear really good things. By the way, random question. Do you prefer pancakes or waffles if you could only eat one? If I could only eat one, I'd probably go with waffles. Yeah, waffles. Let me just make sure I'm thinking of the right... Because waffles, it's like pancakes. It's just a different texture. Yeah. I go with waffles. I like waffles. I like pancakes too, but I'm going to pick waffles, ladies and germs. Waffles. Let me see here. 168 of you mother bastards in the chat. Love you guys. Darwin Smith says, Dave, are you into The Walking Dead? Always wanted to know. No, I'm not. I have never seen an episode of The Walking, like literally. I don't mean literally in how people often use that word. You know, my head literally exploded. No, your head literally didn't explode or you wouldn't be here. No, I literally have never seen I know what you're talking about. I've seen ads for it, but I've never watched an episode of The Walking Dead. It's just not... I'm just not interested in the material. So I'm not a big zombie guy. I never have been. I mean, I've watched zombie movies. I'm okay. Like I don't hate it. Right. I'm just not into it. You know, I've never seen an episode of Breaking Bad. I've never seen an episode, of The Walking Dead. And again, it's important that I remind people, especially if you're new, that when I say, I'm just not that into it, or I don't care for it, or whatever. That's not me saying that I don't think I'm going to like it. No, I probably could sit down and really enjoy it. But it's like how there's certain things in your life that you didn't grow up really into zombies, or the show came and went and you missed the fad, or whatever, and you just don't care enough to make time for it. Do you know what I mean? You'd rather make time for other things you do care about. It's just that kind of thing. So I've never seen an episode of Supernatural. Literally not one episode. Literally. I don't know what it is. It kind of came, and by the time it was, and I'm not a big TV person. When I was younger, I was. Like when I was a teenager in the 90s, I was watching Seinfeld, and I was watching Saved by the Bell, and I was watching Roseanne, and I even watched Oprah at 4:00 after school, but TV was a very big thing back then. Now, obviously TV is really streaming now, but I don't watch a lot of shows. Obviously I do watch Stranger Things. I do get a kick out of the show Manifest. It's so gobbly, gloopily. I don't know how the hell they're going to make this all make sense, but that's kind of a funky show. I did watch the show Dark, the German show Dark, which I thought was very intense, in terms of the subject matter, but I thought that was very good. But like, I haven't seen Squid Games. I haven't seen, oh God, what other things on Netflix everybody's raving about? I don't know. Like I don't watch any of the superhero shows because I'm not a big superhero guy. And again, that's me not saying I don't like that's just, I didn't grow up into it. You know what I mean? Like how some people are not into Star Wars or they're not into Indiana Jones. There's probably people in the chat right now that don't give a fuck about Indiana Jones. Why? Because you probably didn't grow up with it. You don't care. But I do, because I grew up with it, right? You know what I mean? So it's really that kind of thing. It's not like you're saying that you hate Indiana Jones or that you don't think you would enjoy it if you actually took the time to watch it, but you don't care enough to take the time to watch it. So you don't, you know what I mean? It's just that kind of thing. So, but yeah, I haven't. I have not. Death Ray at Adler? Could be pronounced a couple of different ways. Adelier. Adelier? It's the voiceover in me again, phonetically sounding words out that could be said a few ways. 279. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate that very much. Of course, having my glasses on would also help. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any super chats. Okay, I did not. So you guys chatting to yourself. Great to see you guys in here. 167 of you in here on this Friday night, just chilling and relaxing. This is great. Hey, Chris Baber's in the chat. Great to see you here, Chris. Awesome stuff, man. Great to see you here. Let's see. I'm just looking for something. Jacob Corinthos. Supernatural isn't for me. That basic network stuff does nothing for me. Don't like the production value, the aesthetic, and the tameness, etc. Well, Jacob, I don't know how old you are, but network television, I think the production value is fine. They spend millions of dollars on those shows. Maybe you just didn't grow up with TV, maybe? Again, I don't want to, I'm not trying to sound pretentious or anything. I just don't know if, I don't know. No, I don't mind watching TV. I think what it is that there's so much of it. Like, there's just certain things I don't understand. And like, one of the things that I find so interesting, and I've talked about this before, but I do find it interesting, how there are certain people, and listen, all power to you. I just don't get it. There are certain people that can go to a movie theater and watch a movie like 10, 15 times. I've never liked something in my life where I have felt the need to go to the movie theater when the movie came out 15 times or 10 times. I've seen a movie 3 times. I saw the original Avatar 3 times. I think I saw The Force Awakens 3 times. And funny enough, I saw Halloween H2O 3 times. I know what some of you are thinking, but you're not a big fan of H2O. Now, most of you know this already, but I saw it 3 times. Well, I had to see it once, right? So the other 2 times were because, so I went once to see it with my brother Neil and my friend Bruce, who you guys know. And then I went and saw it with my friend Brian because he wanted to see it. And I worked at a movie theater at the time. So I was able to get myself in and a guest for free. And then the third time was, I was waiting for my dad to pick me up at the theater, and he wasn't going to be there for a while. So I was like, fuck it, I'll go watch Halloween H2O and kill, 90 minutes or whatever, 88 minutes. It's very short. So that's why. It wasn't because I thought it was great. So like, I can understand going a couple of times, twice, maybe 3 times if it's really good, but 15 times? Like, I just, it mind boggles me. 15? 10, even like 7 or 8. I'm like, really? I wouldn't go watch the original Halloween 10 times. Like, I just don't there's just certain things I don't understand. I'm just like, wow. And two, what I find interesting, and again, I'm not knocking this. I think it is really a matter of nature versus nurture, how we grew up, right? I find it really interesting how certain people can be passionate, like really passionate about so many different things. Like, they love horror movies and they love superhero films and they love that show and this show and that show and this show and that show. And I'm just like, oh my God, there's so much. Like, that's a lot of ass time on the couch. Like, I could never do that. There's too many shows and too many movies and too many genres and I can't keep up and all this stuff. It's so overwhelming to me. It's like being in a video store when I was 10 and trying to pick a movie. It's like, you know what I mean? But there's a lot of people that can do it. Maybe you're one of them. I think that's actually really cool. But that's probably why you'll hear me go, no, I haven't seen that, or no, I haven't seen it. Because my interests are very, I'm going to say small, but I'm not into everything, so I won't, like I said, I've only seen 4 MCU movies. Is it 4 MCU movies? I know the 2 Deadpool films don't count. I've seen Iron Man, Iron Man 2, The Avengers, and Spider-Man Far From Home. Far From Home? Is that the first one? Homecoming. Spider-Man Homecoming. I've seen those. That's it. That is it. Now, to a huge MCU fan, you're probably sitting there going, what? That's it? Because your life, no doubt, you surround yourself with friends who are just as passionate as you, and your whole world is that, right? But for me, I'm like, no, I haven't. And it's not because I think I'd hate them. No, I have no doubt that if I actually watch them, I have no doubt that I'd really enjoy them. I just don't care enough to make time to do it. You know what I mean? It's interesting. I find it interesting, and then there's people like me that are sort of more narrow focused in their, where they put all their interests, or all the time, right? The time. Like when I have time, I'm going to watch a horror movie. Or when I have time, I'm going to go for a run and work out. When I have time, I'm going to watch, like a psychological thriller, or I'm going to look for something. I'm not going to sit down and, watch a superhero movie. It's not going to, unless it's like Batman or Spider-Man or Superman, like your three kind of mains. Yes. But like Doctor Strange or Black, I'd never heard of these people before, the MCU and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I just think it's interesting. But there's some people that can do it. And like I said, I'm not knocking you. I just think it's wild to me. And maybe you're like, you've only seen 4. Maybe that's just wild to you. How have you not seen Endgame? Everybody saw Endgame. I'm the guy in the back going, I haven't seen it yet. But of course you can't, I know so much about these, not so much, but I know a fair bit about these movies just by being a movie fan and being in the movie space, because we're inundated with it. So even though I haven't seen a lot of these movies, it almost feels like I have, you know what I mean? So maybe that's why I'm in no rush, is because I kind of feel like I have just by association. It's funny. Lee Bauer says, happy Dave, happy Friday, my friend. Or hey Dave, happy Friday, my friend. Jaws 2 is getting a 4K release for its 45th anniversary. When I go to the beach, I always get a feeling that Bruce the shark is out there. Oh yeah, he's out there. That's really cool. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's the 45th anniversary this year for Jaws 2. Great sequel. Yep. Great sequel. That's cool. I'm going to have to get that. I'm glad they're doing that. Death Ray 279 says, let's do a sequel to My Bloody Valentine. I wouldn't mind seeing a sequel to My Bloody Valentine. I'd have to brush up on My Bloody Valentine. Haven't seen it in a while. But I'm not going to do it, but if a studio approached me to do it, I would do it, or I'd think about it. I'm not doing a fan film, though. Happy Sanjo sends in $2 and says, you seen the Knock at the Cabin trailer? I have. And I'm curious. Not a movie I'll go to the theater to see, but it is a movie that I will stream once it comes to streaming. So I'm curious. M. Night Shyamalan's hit and miss for me. He's hit and miss for a lot of people. I wasn't even that big of a fan of The Sixth Sense. I don't think The Sixth Sense is a bad movie. Don't get me wrong, but I wasn't a huge fan of it. I like The Others way better. Like if I had a choice, The Sixth Sense or The Others, it's The Others every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Like I absolutely 100%. But it might be because it's more of my kind of horror movie, maybe, a lot of mood and atmosphere and darkness and, and the twist is, I think the twist is better than the twist in The Sixth Sense. I mean, it's similar, but I think, I don't know. It just got me. It got me more than the twist in The Sixth Sense. But anyway, yeah, Knock at the Cabin. I'm looking forward to seeing it. It looks cool. And it's based on a book, A Knock at the Cabin, something, the end of the world or something like that. So I'm interested to see it. Andrew Stevens, one of my mods. Andrew Stevens sends in $5. Thanks, Andrew, and says, Dave, I have a question. Could an Indiana Jones film work in an all horror style, or is that weird a weird idea. Well, I mean, it could, but I think the association to Indiana Jones would be too much. You know, like you couldn't do an Indiana Jones movie as a horror movie. You know, I mean, we pretty much got that with Indiana Jones and you know, the Temple of Doom, and you know, and depending on how you look at it or how you define horror, the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. But I would just, what I would do is I would just write something about a guy who goes on some sort of adventure that's very dark and mysterious, and, you know, and then we just draw the parallels as we see fit. But to turn Indiana Jones into like an actual horror movie, no. I think you can have horror elements, again, like the Temple of Doom. I think, you know, one of the things that, one of the early ideas for The Last Crusade was actually, instead of it being for the Holy Grail, it was going to be something about Indiana Jones at a haunted mansion or something. Like that mansion that he goes to save his father, that was sort of, I think it was left over from like an earlier idea where it was going to be all about, I think anyway, or maybe this was a separate idea, but anyway, one of the ideas for an Indiana Jones film was going to be about like a haunted mansion or whatever the case is. Like, I think you can have horror elements, but you can't turn Indiana Jones into a horror movie because it's very clearly defined of what it is. It's very clearly established. But I think you could create a new series that maybe is an adventure series with very, very deep horror elements. But we've seen things like that. I mean, those things do exist. You know, I mean, unless you're talking about like, you know, like what horror are you talking about? Are you talking about slasher? Are you talking about splatter? Are you talking about psychological, you know, cause you could, yeah, there's movies out there, you know, things like that. But I think Indiana Jones has got to stay in the adventure subgenre. I think it's better to stay there. Tim Line sends in $5. Thank you, Tim. He's a Pittsburgh Penguins fan. Says, Dave, have you been to any film locations besides Halloween and Elm Street? I visited Rocky locations recently. Yeah, so obviously I've been to the Black Christmas house here in Toronto. I've been to, when I was in Hollywood, I went to one of my favorite movies from the 60s is stars Betty Davis and Joan Crawford, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. It's considered a horror movie, of course. You know, if you've never seen it and you are younger, you maybe, you know, you're thinking, well, it is. I mean, it's not a horror movie like how we know, right? But it's up there with like, you know, horror movies like Rear Window kind of thing. But I went to the house where they shot that film, or at least the exteriors of the house. So that was really cool. And there's been some others too. I've done a couple of others, and I can't think of them now at the top of my head. But I have done some others, but that's cool. Rocky locations, that's cool. I've never been to Philadelphia, but if I ever do go, if I ever find myself in Philly, that is definitely, I mean, you know, you got to do the Rocky steps. I mean, it's a little cliche. Everybody does it, but you got to do it. You know what I mean? You got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it. That's cool though, man. That's cool. Oh, Happy Sanjo super chat about YouTubers you watch, and Edward super chat. There was a super chat before that I missed. Let me go back. Yes. I see it here. Thank you very much. Thanks, Evil Alex. Stepping up. Evil Alex is stepping up. Happy Sanjo sends in $2, says, large YouTubers you watch, favorite movie reviewer. I don't watch a lot of people, to be honest with you. Every now and then I'll watch John Campea, a fellow Canadian, depending on what the topic is, or he tends to cut up his segments, which is a good thing. So I tend to catch the cut up segments, and if there's something that he's talking about that interests me, I will watch it. But John Campea, his show and his crew, there's a large focus on superhero films, and I'm not interested in that. So I don't, you know, I will only watch him if there's something I'm interested in. I do like his co-host there, Robert Meyer Burnett, I believe is his name. I do like him. He's more of a cinephile, I think, as opposed to Campy. Not that Campy's not a smart guy, but I do like Rob, his channel, because he talks about film and the business of film and all that kind of stuff. So I haven't tuned into him lately, but I do like him. But that's really it. I mean, I'll watch Cody Leach from time to time and Lee and, like people in our space, of course, but there aren't movie reviewers or channels that when I'm not on YouTube or talking about horror, I'm not usually watching other people talk about horror. I'm usually watching, I don't know, something else. You know what I mean? A movie or I'll be watching, I don't know. I'm just trying to think, what do I watch on YouTube? Like restaurant fights or, like just funny, dumb shit, and things like that. But yeah, there's not too many. Chris Stuckman every now and then. Again, if there's a movie that he's reviewing that I'm interested in hearing sort of a bit about, I will watch him. But I'm not subscribed to any of these people, so I just kind of tune in when when I'm kind of surfing. Yeah, I don't know. And that was the other one. And favorite movie reviewer. Oh, I guess that's the same thing. I don't really watch movie reviewers. So yeah. Edward Nito sends in $5. Says, Dave, I recently found out that there's an end credit scene for planes, trains, and automobiles. Yes. The end credit scene is the guy from The Office who's just looking at the things that what is it? He's trying to make up his mind again. He's still trying to make up his mind, right? It's a funny, yeah. It's funny, yeah. And you wouldn't know it was there unless you watch the whole thing. But yeah, no, it's there. It's there, which is fun. $10 comes in from Stephen Burns. Thanks, Stephen. Says, if John Carpenter asks you to remake any of his films, which film would you remake? If John Carpenter asked me to remake, I like these questions. Send in these kinds of questions, guys. If John Carpenter asked me to remake any of his films, I'm trying to think here. I would probably, maybe Escape from New York, maybe. The Fog. The Fog had a remake in 2005 and it was dreadful. Although there's a couple of things in that movie I actually do kind of like. But overall not very good. I would remake The Fog. Yeah, that's what I would do. And I'd take it right back to the roots, and I would love to remake. I would love to have the money to remake The Fog. Like, I mean, legitimate, not fan film. I mean, like, legitimately, the rights have cleared. We have the rights. I am remaking The Fog. It's like a $10 million budget, whatever the case is, maybe even $5 million bucks, might need a little more, but you know what I mean? Say it's like a $10 million budget. Let's remake The Fog. Yeah. Low budget, gritty, scary, fucking scary, and suspenseful. Yeah, Fog, totally. And do it right. Hey, the Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast is in here. Darren says, Dave watches TSL all day, every day. I do watch TSL. Yes, that I do. I do. I actually do. Every time you guys post, I do. But that's because we're all in the same. Like I said, I watch Lee and I watch Cody and TSL, absolutely. And Wolfman's Got Nards. I just watched a Wolfman's Got Nards vid the other day. So I do watch, and Mike from, we watch the movie, Mike and Jay, I do watch them. So I do watch, in our space, but in terms of like a huge channel or a big movie review or whatever, not really. Campia I will watch, but not all the time because they're often talking about Marvel and DC and all that kind of stuff. And But what I do like about his show is they will also tackle the business side of things. So they'll be talking about like, there'll be like a segment on Netflix viewership or something about contract negotiations with such and such, whatever. And I find those things informative and fascinating. And, I learn, a lot about that too, or from that too. So that stuff I'll watch that stuff. And like I said, Robert Meyer Burnett, I think is quite knowledgeable with his years of experience. And I do like him a lot. I like him as a personality, as a guy. I think we'd get along well. I like him a lot, but like just big channels and stuff. I don't. I'm trying to think. I'm like my cat. So my cat, when I put food down for my cat doesn't eat it all at once. Now, it could also be because she's an indoor cat and she's not exerting a lot of, energy and burning a lot of calories by being outdoors, but she grazes. So she'll come over, she'll eat a bit, and then she'll walk away. And then she'll come back and she'll eat some a bit later, and then so she like grazes. I find that's how I am with YouTube, right? There isn't like a specific channel I'm like a diehard over that I'm watching, the big channels, right? That I'm tuning in every day, all the time. I tend to graze. I surf, and I'm like, I wonder if, and whatever catches my interest, whether that's a big channel that or a small channel that nobody knows, whatever it is, I'll be like, I click on that. You know what I mean? I'm very much like that. So I'm very much like my cat. I'm grazing. I'm surfing, It's not an exact analogy, but I think you get the idea. Okay, I got all the super chats, right? No, I don't see any angry faces from anybody, so that must mean that I did. Steve Evans says, Dave, any thoughts on the upcoming Salem's Lot movie? The original miniseries kept me up at night, especially the scene with the vampire boy floating in front of his friend's bedroom window. Yeah, Salem's Lot is great. I have to, I got to watch Salem's Lot again. I do have it. I have it on Blu-ray. Is it a remake? Or is it a sequel? This thing's been in like development for a while. Have they shot it yet? I got to look into where they are in the production. I'm not entirely sure. Am I looking forward to it? Not really, but I'm not looking forward to it. It's sort of been out of my, it came onto my radar like a long time ago when they announced that they were going to do it. And then I've totally forgot about it. So I'll have to read up on it and see where they're at. Maybe they're like really like ready to release. I'm not sure. Let me just, cause I'm actually kind of curious now. Oh, it's already come out? Did it already come out? Oh, wow. If it already came out, I'm like fucking, I didn't even know. Did it come out already with no fanfare? No. It's an upcoming movie. Salem's Lot is an upcoming supernatural horror film. Okay, good. I was like, what? All right. Directed by Gary Doberman. What has he done here? Annabelle Comes Home. So his feature film debut was Annabelle Comes Home. He wrote the first Annabelle. Okay. Wrote Annabelle Creation. He also wrote The Nun. He wrote It Chapter 2. All right. Well, I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen it. Is there a trailer yet? I don't know. Not sure. We'll see. We'll see how I feel. Bobby Hall says, Dave, what made you choose DaVinci Resolve for editing? I've used Final Cut and Premiere, but never DaVinci Resolve, so was wondering what you liked about it. I chose DaVinci Resolve because primarily when we shot It's Me, Billy, our DP, Greg Bennett, uses DaVinci Resolve. And we were going to hire Greg. We not only hired Greg to be our DP, but we wanted to give Greg sort of control over the color correction and color timing as well. We worked together with Greg, to figure all that out and to make sure we're all on the same page. But any DP will tell you that if they have the opportunity to sit in on a color grading session with a colorist, or are able to do it themselves, or, and not every DP can. Not every DP has the skills to do it. That's why they hire a colorist. But hopefully the DP is able to sit in on those sessions, because that doesn't always happen. A lot of directors, a lot of filmmakers, especially indie ones, will go behind the DP's back, and it's a whole thing. Please include your DPs in your color correction sessions, folks, especially if they are, no matter what, but if they are professional DPs. But anyway, so he uses DaVinci Resolve, and we knew that we were going to hire Greg to also be the colorist, which he was. He did an amazing job, as you can see. And so we felt it was easier because he had DaVinci Resolve, I might as well get it, learn it, and that way we can send project files back and forth to each other. It really was that simple. And I've tried Adobe. I think Adobe is, listen, I mean, if you've done one editing software, there are parallels to them all, where the window is, where the, all that kind of stuff, the timeline. But I think Adobe Premiere, as great as it is unnecessarily complicated. It never used to be that way. Now, if you are a Adobe Premiere user and you've been using it for years, well, it's not complicated to you. But as somebody who hasn't used it since like 2002, or whatever it was, I downloaded it. And this is before we shot Billy. I downloaded it and I was like, what the fuck? Like I was like, the learning curve was like, this is just unnecessarily complicated to me. It just might be how I learn. And then I downloaded the free version of DaVinci Resolve first to kind of get my, the wheels going. And then of course I purchased the studio version, but I love DaVinci Resolve. I think DaVinci Resolve is fantastic. And it started, as you know, and maybe you don't, it started as a color correction, color timing software. I mean, that's really was its main sort of thing, used in the business. But now it's like, it's grown to become like an all-in-one sort of thing. And you can even do some sound in it too, which is wild. But I love it. I think DaVinci Resolve is fantastic. And we will use it again for chapter 2. Chester Franklin Jr. says, Dave, how would you rank the part 2, Halloween 2, 1981, part 2 and Elm Street 2? How would I rank Halloween 2, Friday 2, and Elm Street 2? In order of what I like the most? What's the best movie? Let's go what I would watch. I would probably watch Halloween 2 first, then Elm Street 2, then Friday 2. And depending on how I'm feeling, I might pop in Elm Street 2 first. Not really sure. Halloween. Ernie Bird says, David Blue Garcia did a great job with Texas Chainsaw 2022. There were some cool shots. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Texas Chainsaw 2022. I thought it was all right. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan. I didn't hate it, but I didn't think it was like amazing or anything. Yeah, there was a couple of cool moments. Tony Michael and I watched that for the first time on an episode of Two Dudes. So you guys should check that out. Just YouTube Dave McRae, Texas Chainsaw 2022 or something, and watch it. It was a lot of fun. Okay. MM78 says, if they were to reboot the original Halloween, does everyone think that they could tell a better story than DGG 15 years from now? Oh, it's always possible. I just hope they don't do that. I don't want to see this story ever again. I know what you're thinking. Dave, you sound like a Halloween hater. No, it's because I'm a Halloween lover. I don't want them to fuck it up. No, look, I'll be first in line. Like I said the other day on the Halloween stream, I'll be first in line with any Halloween they do. I will be there. I'll be there with bells on, as they say. But whatever they do with Halloween, it's time to let Michael Myers, it needs to die. It needs to die for a while. Just let it marinate for a bit. Let us miss it. Go do something else. Go do Season of the Witch, or go something, or do fucking nothing and just let us miss it. So by the time the 50th anniversary rolls around, maybe we're itching. Not itching like that. That's a bad itch. But maybe we're itching for something good, We're itching for something really good. And I think that's something that, we need to, that's where I think the focus should be. I just don't think that we need to worry about, Michael. I guess people are just upset because they didn't like the trilogy in the ways that they were hoping to like the trilogy. So maybe they just want to scrap that, throw everything out, and start all over again. But I don't know if that's the right thing to do. I don't think that is the right thing. Oh, where am I here? There we go. I don't think that's the right thing to do. In my opinion, anyway. Oh, is that? No, that's another one. Oh, there we go. I still had the windows up from another stream. And I was like, why am I not moving in that? That's weird. Anyway. Sebastian says, I watched the 2-dude stream you did while watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. It's my favorite stream you did. You were screaming like a maniac and Tony thought something was wrong. Yes. Yeah. Well, that's when at the very end, towards the end, I was like, wow. Oh, yeah. No, it's great. No, I like to ham it up. I forget who it was now, but somebody made a comment. I don't know if it was on that stream or what, but they said, why are you guys talking all the time? You guys just be quiet and watch the movie. And I can't remember if I responded, but in my mind, I remember thinking, what do you mean? We're not just talking, like we're talking about the movie. We're talking about what we're seeing. It's a watch along. If we were going to be quiet, we wouldn't do the stream. We just go watch the movie on our couch. I mean, you want to watch a movie? Like what? It's going to be 90 minutes of this? I mean, is that what you want? Well, this doesn't make any sense. Of course we're going to be talking during the movie. Of course we're going to be hamming it up. It's entertainment. If you want to watch the movie without any distractions, don't watch it with us. What the hell are you doing? And of course I don't do that. Oh, that's what it was too. They said, God, Dave would be a horrible individual to watch a movie with. I'm thinking, do you really think that I sit there while watching a movie in a movie theater going, oh, or I'm talking, yeah, did you see that? Clearly, it's because I'm on the show, hamming it up for the viewing audience. Can you imagine? Whew, right over that person's head. I forget who that was. You guys are talking football. I'm out. Let's see here. Johnny Cahill says, Dave, what scares you the most? I don't know. What scares me the most? I think just losing somebody I love. I think that is what scares me the most. Is that and because there's nothing more scarier than that, I think. Yeah, I think I'm going to say that. Harry Hagen, my man, Harry Hagen. Sends in $2. Thanks, Harry. Says, did you get a permit for the car scene in It's Me, Billy? A permit for the car scene in It's Me, Billy? What would you... A permit for the car scene in It's Me, Billy? I'm not quite sure what you mean. I mean, I know what you're talking about, and I know what permits are, but why would we need a permit for the car to shoot it, to shoot in the car? Just wondering what you mean by that. You mean on the side of the road, like at the location? No. If that's what you mean, no. Because we actually were just outside. A little bit of movie magic for you. So the beginning of It's Me... Oh, of course we were just outside. I mean, just like outside of where the house is. House is. I was going to say was. That's why it sounded weird. The house is what it is. So obviously in the movie, it's supposed to look like the girls are parked on the side of the road, like, you know, a couple hours away from, you know, the house. It literally was like, you know, a 2-minute walk from the house. So we essentially were just on this desolate road right there. And because we were on the side of the road and not in the middle of the road, cars could still go by, and cars did. And they obviously, and they a lot of movies shoot there. A lot of movies shoot on that street and at that house. A lot of Hallmark films and all that kind of stuff. So people are used to that. You know, they another movie being shot, you know, and we were not impeding on traffic or, you know, anything. It was just, yeah, it was fine. It was fine. If that's what you mean, I think that's what you mean. Did we have a permit to shoot on the side of the road? And the answer is no. Now, if we were shooting in town, like if we were shooting in the actual town of Almont, where we had to like block up, well, we would have to get a permit. But we were on like a side road in the middle of nowhere. So we were good. We were okay. We gorilla'd it. Yeah, I'm talking about shooting on the road. You guys were shooting what looks like the road. Yes, that is right. Yes. But everything was on the side of the road. So we were able to, the lights that we had set up around the car, the lights were on the road. And some of them were on the other side of the road, shining down onto the car or into the car. And we'd put up, you know, whatever diffusion that you needed. But cars could, and we'd see a car, and we'd be like, car, you know, and they would come, and they just go around and continue to drive. And like I said, in that area where we were, it was very isolated. So we just thought, you know what, let's just do this. And we did, and we were okay. But if we moved into town, we couldn't have done that. We'd have to get, you know, we'd have to have a permit. You know what I mean? What the hell was that? That's all, folks. I think it's because this is my third show in 3 days. Frank Reger says, I want to what Dave best see-through shirt scene is. What's my best see-through shirt scene? I can't even think of any see-through shirt scenes, Frank. I have no idea, Frank. Seriously, I have no idea. A see-through shirt scene in a horror movie? That's very specific. It's not a topless scene. It's a see-through shirt scene. Don't know, Frank. Why don't you tell us yours, Frank? Because I have no doubt that you have a Rolodex. Okay, oh, yes. Stephen Burns sends in $5, says, not sure if you watch Joe Blow movies. I know who they are, but no, I don't. But they did a segment on Black Christmas, and they mentioned your film, It's Me, Billy. Oh, yeah. Somebody did, somebody either in the chat room during a live stream or a DM, somebody had mentioned that, and they sent me a link. So I watched it, and I thought that was cool. That was great. Shout out to Joe Blow for doing that. Really appreciate that. Yeah, maybe they'll want to do it again when we do chapter 2. Yeah, that was cool. I know who they are, but I don't. Again, like I will watch anything if the topic interests me. Then I will watch it, whoever it is. And then, like I said, there's a couple of people that I might gravitate towards, but I'm not like dialed into one person all the time. I guess it's just my personality. I'm not sure. But I did see that, and I think that's very cool. It was very cool. So shout out to Joe Blow. Thank you for doing that. That's awesome. Let me see. $5 comes in from Static. Just sent that in. Says, if you ever mention you want fake snow to a director or producer for a movie, would they instantly get nervous because it's so expensive and time consuming? Well, yes. I mean, anytime you need fake snow or rain, anytime you add water to a movie, your budget goes up. The logistics of making that movie get more problematic. Now, again, it depends on the degree for which it is. I mean, maybe it's just rain on, you know, the outside of your car. Maybe it's just rain on the outside of your house. Or maybe you're on a boat during a thunderstorm. I mean, you know, the logistics and the complications vary depending on what the logistics are in terms of the rain. But yes, it can get tricky. And with fake snow, there's several different ways to make fake snow. Usually, I think they hire the fire department to come and I think there are snow machines, obviously. But how much snow do you need? Right? If you can shoot in a climate at a time of year where you're going to get snow, that's always the best. Depending on what you're doing outside, yeah, it can be cold and the crew can be cold and you might need some, you know, hand warmer things like we did that with Billy. I mean, our first day of shooting was the car scene and it was cold. And we were prepared for it. But you know, you multiply that to a major Hollywood film and obviously there are trailers you can go and keep warm and, you know, all that kind of stuff. We had a Suburban that was out there where, the actors were and of course they were in the car too, so they could turn on the car, keep warm and then turn it off when we're ready to shoot. So that was obviously to their advantage. But yeah, anytime you add snow, like fake snow, yeah, that's something you have to factor into your budget and how much ground of that fake snow do you have to cover? Is it just a little walk? Like what's the area? I mean, we could never have done fake snow at the Billy house. You know, there's just way too much to cover. There's too much to cover. It would have cost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to be able to cover all that. We couldn't have done it. It was absolutely a blessing and serendipitous that the day we arrived to shoot Billy, it started to snow. We were prepared to shoot the movie without it because if you know, like I said, it's not unprecedented to have a green Christmas. I don't mean, you know, hot unless you're in like, you know, Florida or something. But I mean like, you know, in the Northeast, in the Midwest, in Canada, it's not unprecedented to have Christmas come by and there's no snow. All the leaves would be off the trees. It would likely be a very gloomy kind of day. And we were prepared to shoot like that. But it snowed. And all that snow you see during the drone shot at the beginning with the car, you know, on the road, that snow was not there 24 hours prior to that. Literally. Like it was incredible. The movie gods came to our rescue. So we could never have, you know, there's no way, right? So it all depends. It all depends on how much fake snow you need. You know what I mean? It all depends. But yes, it does increase the budget and a producer or a studio would take note, you know, and be like, okay, how much of this do you need? What kind of rain? What the hell are we talking about here? We're talking about like a little rain on your windshield as you're driving at night. Not a big deal. Are we talking about a massive storm in the ocean with a boat capsizing? It's a bit more of a big deal, you know? Frank Riker says, Frank Riker says, Pam from Friday the 13th Part 5 is good. Catherine Hicks in Star Trek 4 is good too. There is plenty, Dave. Randy Quaid in Kingpin is the tops. Frank, I don't know. I don't even remember Pam from Friday 5. Oh, yeah. Oh, Pamela Voorhees. But I can't remember. Like, I'm sorry, Frank. I know that you're not going to like this. I cannot remember. I remember Pamela being topless. I don't remember any see-through shirt. And I don't remember Catherine Hicks in Star Trek 4. I'm not saying you're wrong, Frank, but you tend to, I mean, you are like, you know, a moth to a flame when it comes to boobs, okay, and hot tubs. So I will take your word for it, my man. I will take your word for it. And Randy Quaid in Kingpin is the tops. Hey, there's always, look, when it comes to nipples, there's always room for Randy Quaid. I mean, come on, especially when the shitter is full. Let me see here. Super chat, a very generous super chat of $19.99 comes in from David Coe. Thank you, David. And says, what's your opinion? The problem I have with Stu want your opinion. The problem I have with Stu coming back as a killer in Scream is that part of the fun is watching Scream a second time, knowing who the killers are. Afraid that gets taken away if Stu is revealed at the end. Yeah, so I get what you're saying. Yeah, that is part of the fun, is trying to figure out who the killers are. I know that they thought about doing that in Scream 3. I know it was on the table. I know why it was axed. But, listen, I mean, good writing solves everything. And if they can figure out a way to bring Stu back and it's properly motivated, everything makes sense, all the dots connect, no Scream fan is going, nope. Every question can be answered. It all makes sense. It opens it up to the larger picture. Holy shit. Oh my fucking God. Well, maybe it's worth the risk. But if all you're doing is bringing back Stu for nostalgia, don't do it. Because then you're going to be able to poke a lot of holes into that shit. Don't do it. Don't do it. Let him be dead. Because then you also overshadow the newcomers. You overshadow the newcomers. Now, if you want to make it an offspring of Stu, which I understand, there are people that are like, oh, an offspring again? They're going to do that again? Yeah, they're going to do it again. No, I have no idea. But I would be okay with that. I'd be okay with that. A relative. I don't know. Just not Stu. I'm just reading your question again. Part of the fun is watching Scream a second time, knowing who the killers are. Afraid that gets taken away if Stu is revealed at the end. Well, it depends, right? You still know who the killers are. You just know watching Scream again for a second time that he doesn't actually die, right? So I don't think that ruins it. You just know that, when the TV falls on his head, he's not actually dead. I think that ruins that. I think you've developed a pattern where the ghost face killers at the end of every movie die. And I think that's right. I think that's good. What we haven't seen in a Scream film is something I've talked about this whole last week during my Scream videos, and that is a killer that is not revealed to be any of the people you're introduced to. Now, I know that changes things a little bit. Like I said yesterday, it becomes more Friday the 13th Part 1 and less whodunit, because obviously, there's a whodunit vibe, but if you're not introduced to the killer in the movie until the very end, the end reveal, then there's no opportunity for you to figure out who the killer is. So it's not a real whodunit, but it's something we haven't seen in Scream before. What if we don't know who the killer is at the end and it ends on a cliffhanger and we still don't know? What about that? Like I said, like I've been saying all week, those things excite me. Because it's different. Now, you still keep the DNA, you still make it Scream, you keep the DNA there, but, doing that is interesting to me. Now, again, you can't just do it for the sake of it. It has to be properly motivated. It has to make sense. It can't be a Halloween 5 situation where you go, I don't know, well, let the people doing Scream 7 figure it out. No. You know exactly why you're doing it, and you know exactly where it needs to go. Even if you don't direct the other film, you know exactly what the other filmmaker needs to do to follow through. It's proper. It's all there. That I find interesting, rather than it just being Kirby, or the cop, or one of the people. I don't, because then it's just another Scream movie. And maybe that's what fans want. Maybe fans just want another Scream movie. But I want another Scream movie that's got a little something. You've never seen this before. I hope that line is, what does he say? But there's never been one like there's never been one like me before, Gail, or whatever he says, right? There's never been one like me before. Whatever. Yeah, I fucking hope that's true. And I hope it's true, not just that it's somebody, it's Kirby and she's a survivor and oh yeah. Nah, I want Kirby to die. I want her to fucking die. Scream fans right now are hating me. I want her to die. I want her to die. I want Tara to die. I want Chad to die. I want Mindy to die. All of them. So all you fans can feel uncomfortable. That's what I want, damn it. Now, again, it has to make sense. No, I'm kidding, obviously. I would, although I do want some people to die. I don't want people were first introduced. Basically, what I'm saying is that I don't want the only people that are going to die are the people we're introduced to in the movie, in the film. I can hardly talk today. In Scream 6, right? No, there's got to be some stakes. There's got to be some risks. So anyways, I've gone off on a tangent. What else is new? But yeah, I do think that I don't want Stu to be I don't want him to be the killer. And because I think it devalues his death at the end of the first movie. So that's what I guess I could have just said that, but you know me. I like to go off on all sorts of stories and tangents. To make my point. Next Gen Studio says, what's everyone's favorite soundtrack from the David Gordon Green trilogy? I'd go Kills, and my favorite is Michael's Legend. Gives me chills because the song and vibe of that scene perfectly captures Michael. My favorite soundtrack is the Halloween 18 and the Shape Stalks Allison or the Shape Hunts Allison or whatever. Boom. My favorite for sure. Let's see here. Scrolling down, see what we got going on. Bobby Hall says, Dave, when you watch Friday the 13th 2 to 4, do you think of Jason as someone who literally rose from the dead or that he was just living in the woods all those years? To be honest with you, Bobby, it never crosses my mind when I watch 2 to 4. I guess subconsciously in the back of my head, I'm just thinking, well, he's risen from the dead. I guess he drowned in the lake and he's coming back to avenge his mother's death. But I don't really think about it, to be honest with you. A better question would be, I guess, like, do I think he's from the dead or he's just a guy living in the woods? I think you can make a case for both in the first set of films. I think there's a case to be made for both. Because when Jason comes out of the water at the end of Friday the 13th 1, that very much feels like it could be a dream. And it didn't literally happen to her. And so you could pass that off as a dream. And then when you watch 2 to 4, yeah, I mean, how he survives and what the hell he's eating out there to get traps the size of Goldberg in part 3, who the hell knows? But you can kind of go, yeah, maybe he's a mountain man, he's just out there, whatever. Yeah, sure. Once you get to 6, 7, and 8, though, he's very clearly supernatural. I mean, they clearly communicate that to the audience. He is a zombie brought back to life by a lightning bolt. No, he's not a guy just out in the woods. You know what I mean? But just watching 2 to 4, especially 2, I mean, he's just a regular sized dude. You know what I mean? Especially 2. Yeah, you could make that argument. You could think that. For sure. For sure you could think that. All right, let me see what else we got going. Other questions we have here in the chat room. Hey, do you guys like Psycho 2? I made a social media post not long ago. And I've talked about this before, but Psycho 2 is one of my favorite horror sequels. It's one of the best horror sequels ever. I know Frank loves it. Frank's a huge fan. We watched it here on the channel last year. And I mean, I'm not saying anything that horror fans don't already know. Psycho 2 is often considered to be one of the better horror sequels that is out there. And that was a tall order, man. I mean, you were doing a direct sequel to Psycho. I mean, you know, one of the great, not just horror films, but films of all time. And you happen to deliver something that good. You know, Dean Cundy, of course, was the DP. Yeah, great film. I'm a big fan of Psycho 2. Cody Snyder says, I fucking love Psycho 2. Super Soul Fried Disco says, love Psycho 2. Anthony Perkins was awesome in it. I could not agree more. Jacob Cornthos says, Psycho 2 is better than it has any right to be. There's some truth in that. There's definitely some truth in that. For sure. Super chat from Terry Gold sends in $5. Thanks, Terry, and says, hi, Dave. Would you consider doing a Two Dudes episode on Silence of the Lambs? Yeah, it's always possible. I'd have to talk to Tony about it. You know, we have to agree on our shows. But yeah, I'd be down for it. I'd be down for it. I wouldn't, you know, I don't know how big of an audience we would get for Silence of the Lambs. Tony and I have watched, and this is not a knock on our viewers, it's just the reality of the situation. Whenever Tony and I in the past have done more, you know, elevated or psychological horror films that we really love, the viewership's not as high. That's just, you know, I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of the pulse of the interest from people. I'm actually surprised. This is one. So to answer your question, yes, maybe. Can't say 100% for sure, but I would be open to it. I remember when we did Sinister, and I thought, it's so funny. Viewers can be so fickle. You can be so fickle, you damn viewers. But I thought for sure, because Sinister, the first one, Ethan Hawke, 2012, is like, everybody loves Sinister. Not everybody, but you know what I mean. Generally speaking, it's got that positive, you know, thing about it, right? That people, oh yeah, that's a really good movie. That's creepy. Oh, yeah, that's a really good movie. So I said to Tony, if we got to watch Sinister, man. Yeah, we'll get lots of people tuning in for Sinister. Now, I don't mean like 500 people. I don't mean like Halloween numbers, like, you know, 300 people. But I thought for sure we'd get like, you know, 200 something maybe. No, we got like, I don't know, 98 to like 120. There's more people in here now than there was watching Sinister with Tony and I. And we couldn't believe it. And we were like, where the fuck is it? What? It's Sinister. Isn't everybody? What the hell's going on? It's a great horror. What the hell's happening? Nope. I don't know what it is. And still to this day, I think it's got less than 3,000 views. I think. I'd have to double check. But I find that so fascinating. Sometimes, you know, I don't know. Sometimes, maybe it's the time of year. Maybe it just happened to be that Monday night. Sometimes it's interesting. But I throw up Halloween, guaranteed over 300 people. Just like that. Just like that. You know what I mean? Now, I recognize and understand why, of course, but I just find it interesting. I thought for sure we were going to get people knocking down the door for Sinister. No. It's so weird. So weird. Hey, Veda, what's going on? Come on in. Yeah, come on in, Veda. Say hello to everybody. You want to come in? Yeah, come on in. Don't be antisocial now. Come in and say hi to everybody. Texas Tootin sends in $4.99 and says, hi, Dave. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you as well. Texas Tootin says, watched It's Me, Billy last night. Great work. Thanks, man. I could see a few bits inspired by the original. Was that planned thing? Was that a planned thing or, oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah, no. Some of the things, obviously Justine's death scene, very much inspired by Margot Kidder's death scene in the original. And yeah, there's certain things that we did, but we didn't carbon copy. The thing that was very important for Bruce and I have a hair on my lip, was that It's Me, Billy felt like it was the same universe. So we could have taken It's Me, Billy and gone in the direction of a stereotypical slasher movie, you know, a lot of blood, you know, high body count, faster pace. But we didn't want to do that for two reasons. Number one, Bruce and I tend to like, as you guys know, we're more, and certainly I am more of that theater of the mind, psychological horror guy, mood and atmosphere anyway. Not that I wouldn't write or produce or direct or want to make a slasher movie. Totally. If I had the money, for sure. You know what I mean? If I had like 10 million bucks and go, sure, you know, and yeah, why not? Or 5 million bucks, or hell, even, you know, 2 million bucks, you could do it. If a studio wants to do that, let's do it. But if Veda, come on in, Veda. But it was very important for us to make a movie that felt like it was a natural extension of the original film. So it felt like the same universe. It felt like the same world. And one of the biggest compliments we've gotten from people who've really liked the film is that it is that, especially when you watch the first one and then watch It's Me, Billy. It feels like a natural extension. So that was really important for us. So we, you know, because we weren't doing our own version of the original film. We were doing a sequel. So we had to push things forward but we did want to pay homage, right? Like the unicorn brooch on, you know, Mrs. Crane's jacket. And then of course the eye shot and all that kind of stuff. But we still wanted to tell our own story and push things forward. And Billy too, if we get a chance to make it, will continue to push things forward and complete the story we started with chapter 1. And chapter 2, now, of course, it's still going to be scary, still going to be suspenseful, but it picks up a little bit because now you're watching the ending of the story we set up. So, you know, shit's going to hit the fan now, right? It's not going to be, you know, it's not a Saw movie. It's not a Friday the 13th movie. I just mean that in the world of Black Christmas, relative to that world, things begin to pick up now. And it's exciting. But like I said last night, and like I've been saying, you know, on most streams where I get a chance to talk about it, we're going to need your help. We're going to need everybody's help. Each one of you that's watching here today, we're going to need your help when the Indiegogo campaign launches in the spring. And because we can't do it without you. We did it once before. I'm confident we can do it again. Don't know what the budget's going to be yet, so I don't know what the total is going to be yet. Won't know that until we get closer to the launch. Yeah, we need to raise that money again, folks. And I will have the announcement for the Indiegogo campaign for you very soon. It is coming. It is coming very soon, and we're very excited. We're very excited. Script is fun. So thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. Frank Riker sends in $10. Thanks, Frank. You didn't have to do that. Says Psycho 2 director it's Richard Franklin, right? I think. Also, Hitchcock's assistant told Cundy that AI would have that. I think you mean Alfred. That Al. Yeah, okay, Al. All right, I'm just trying to follow along. That Al would have loved his shooting. Dean to this day said it is the best compliment he's ever had. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, it's great. It's shot really well. It's shot really well. And I love the film. I do. I watched it I was late to the party on Psycho 2. I watched it maybe for the first time like 10 years or so ago, and I really liked it. I was like, wow, this is really good. It's like, as far as horror sequels go, this is really good. So I quite enjoyed it a lot. Yeah. I mean, what a compliment. Alfred Hitchcock, you know, one of the great filmmakers in the history of cinema, saying that, his assistant saying that. It's really nice. It's really nice, man. It's really nice. Yeah, it's a good movie for sure. Chester Franklin Jr. says, Dave, is Cujo the only dog movie of horror? No. I can't think of any other dog horror movies off the top of my head, but there's other dog horror movies out there, I'm pretty sure. Anyway. Let me see here. Okay, I didn't miss any super chats, right? I don't see any angry faces. I don't think I have. I just want to make sure. I don't think I have. I just want to make sure. It's Friday night. Yeah, Friday night. What do we got? Let's do this.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
All right, Buster Rhymes. Buster Rhymes. Oh, there's another one on there I could play. The Howling Madness says Anthony Perkins is awesome. Yeah, Anthony Perkins. I can't speak today. I'm pretty sure it's because I was doing voiceover all day, and this is my third live stream in as many days. So I think I'm just kind of, my lips are tired. I'm stumbling a lot today. Let me see. David Irwin says, sorry guys, it's 1:45 here. I gotta tap out. Enjoy the rest of the stream. Love you guys. Bye, Dave. Take care, David. I understand. It's late there, man. It's late there. Totally get it. Understand. Tyler Moreland says, my dad and I watched Psycho 2 a few months before his passing, and that is a great memory I have with him. That's cool. It's unfortunate, but it's a nice thing that you can hold, right? That is you and your dad's. And that's really cool. It's like how my dad and I watched Halloween. Now, this is, like 15 years before my dad passed. But one of my fondest memories, and I've told this before, is that when I was in the hospital for 12 days when I was 15. And I actually had encephalitis. And my mom had, to make me feel better, my mom had bought me Halloween 2 on VHS. I didn't have it. I had Halloween 1, but I didn't have it, I didn't have it 2. And it was the 90s. And those movies were very difficult to come by. And so I was all excited. And the nurses would wheel in, a television with a VCR. I was in isolation too. So I had my own room, which was great. And my dad came over to the hospital one evening. It was January, so it got dark early. And he came over and we watched Halloween. My dad had never seen it. And we watched Halloween 2 with the lights off in a hospital, just the two of us. And my dad loved it. He loved the movie, but I think he just loved the idea of being in this cozy room, with this little TV and Halloween playing, and you could see the hospital, and then you could look out there and you could see like an actual nurse walk by. There was like, my God, we're in a hospital watching Halloween. Ah, you know what I mean? I'll never forget that. That was a lot of fun. That actually might be a good video to do on its own, just like a sort of a standalone memory kind of video to put on my channel. So I get it. You know what I mean? It's nice when you can have those things with your parents. That's nice. That's very cool. Stephen Byrne sends in $5 and says, why can't the major studios figure out how to make a Dracula or werewolf movie that is good? Well, it's tough, man. I think it's tough to bring, it's always tough to bring a property that lives in a certain era. It was a very different world back then. How movies were made was very different back then, the technology. And to bring Frankenstein and the Wolfman and Dracula and the Mummy and whatever the case is into the 21st century for a modern audience. We saw what happened with Tom Cruise's The Mummy, I think it was. They were trying to build this universe. It's difficult because it feels like you want to go big. I think the key to a successful Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, modern day films is to keep it small. Don't try to make it a big summer blockbuster. See right there, I was going to say a big slummer. What's going on with me tonight? A big summer blockbuster. Keep it small. Keep it independent. $5 million, $10 million. You know, make it a dark, a real horror movie, you know, then maybe that's the trick. Maybe, I don't know. But I think trying to turn the Universal monsters into summer blockbuster films, I think is a mistake. And it was a mistake. And Tom Cruise's film didn't do anything. So they axed it, right? They don't care. They don't care how you feel. As soon as it doesn't work, you're gone. And that was the right move. There's no way. I don't think these characters, you need to create a modern film that has modern production value, has modern, technology being used, but is a smaller film, not reliant on heavy special effects and, all sorts of worlds. And it feels like a modern version of those old movies. You know what I mean? But the acting is better because it's modern, right? The effects are better because it's modern. Maybe go back to practical, or a nice balance between practical and CG and just tell a small story again. Then I think you might be onto something. And if you can make that for $5 or $10 million, for $5 or $10 million bucks and make 60, 70, 100, well, you're laughing. You're laughing. The Universal monster films have to be small, not blockbusters. And I think that's the problem. At least part of it. I mean, what the hell do I know? The fuck do I know? Let me see here. Fauci Cinema says Friday the 13th should be a summer blockbuster. Jason doing some awesome street racing scenes and hooking up with hot chicks. Who agrees? That definitely would be interesting. Modern Peasant says, Dave, what film made you think, man, I really want to do that? Oh, well, the most recent one I can unless you mean like what movie made me want to like become a filmmaker or was like, became a movie fan, I don't know. It would have been a movie that I watched very early in my life, like a Star Wars movie or The Goonies or an Indiana Jones movie or Halloween or Friday or Elm Street. Who knows? But in terms of just a movie that's like, oh man, I would. The most recent one I can think of off the top of my head is The Ritual. The 2017 one. First of all, I don't know why I missed this. I completely missed it. For whatever reason, my radar didn't pick it up. Or maybe it did, but I didn't think of it or whatever. I don't know. I saw it. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what was going on in my life at that time. Whatever. I'm on Netflix last year and I see it. And I'm like, oh, this is a few years ago now. What's this? I read the blurb and I'm like, let's watch it. I fucking loved it. I was blown away by it because that's there isn't a creative decision that I can think of in The Ritual that I A, do not agree with and B, would not have done. Like I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, this is a great movie. Like the slow burn, the theater of the mind, the rain, the tension between the characters, right? The psychological, effects of being out there and seeing your friend and all that, like all that shit. And then when he sees that fucking thing behind the tree in the distance, what the fuck is that? And then, they're walking away and then this weird creature or something kind of walks like, what the fuck is that? Like just the nuance, the subtleties of how they built up. They didn't peak too soon. They didn't show you the monster right away. Oh, I was glued. My ass was, I was on the edge of my couch. I was like, this is fucking great. This is great. That's a movie where I was like, I wish I could have directed it. Like, I wish I was the one that directed a movie like that because I would have been like, oh my God, I would have been so proud of myself. I would have been so proud of myself. You know what I mean? Man, that would have been awesome. I love that movie. I'm not saying it's the greatest movie of all time. I'm not saying it's the greatest horror movie ever made. It just surprised me. It's because I wasn't expecting anything. I was like, what is this? Because, Netflix blurbs are like I mean, who writes these blurbs, right? They hardly tell you anything. And I'm just like, well, I think it was like, 5 guys go in the forest and shit happens. I'm just like, okay. And I click on it. I loved it. Loved it. Loved the cinematic language, the symbolism, loved how the guy's dreams and the guilt he was feeling about his friend and how his dreams were showing us that guilt. And that's just great. Great imagery, great acting, great performances, great location, great mystery, great mood, great atmosphere. What is there not to fucking love about The Ritual? It is fantastic. And so that's a movie where I was like, I want to do that. I want to do that. Another movie I really liked, directed by the same guy, I think it's the same guy, which I also really liked. Now I didn't have the same kind of response on first watch as I did with The Ritual. And I think it's because I had like no expectations with The Ritual, whereas this one I actually had some expectations. But I loved it too, was The Night House. Really like that movie. Really like The Night House. Again, that's my kind of horror. And it's not that I don't like slasher movies. It's not that I don't like a little bit of blood here and there. I like them. I like them. But at the end of the day, the older I get, I love, because that shit scare you in the head. You know what I mean? Because when a psychological thriller or a psychological horror movie, when it's done well, when it's firing on all cylinders, there's just nothing like it, man. There's just nothing like it. Chef's kiss. There's just nothing like it. And I'm not saying that The Night House is that. I'm just saying when there is a movie that fires on all cylinders in that theater of the mind, psychological horror realm, it's fantastic. Isn't it fantastic? Like, pick a movie that you feel that way about in that subgenre. You know what I mean? Like, isn't it like, yeah, you're sitting there, you're like, this is fucking great. You know what I mean? Because it's getting in here, in the mood and the atmosphere and the tension. And you're like, this is fucking great. This is fantastic. You know what I mean? Like, that's the shit, man. That's the shit. That's the shit. I love that shit so much. I would love to be able to make a movie one day that has that kind of effect on an audience. That's so cool. I'm available, I'm just saying. Super chat comes in from Robert Kitzmiller, sends in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Robert. And says, I love the story of the hooker showing up and you darting across town on your bike for escort money. Oh, being a kid. Oh, right. First, I didn't know what you were talking about there. I was like, what? Hashtag it's me, Billy too. Yes, my man. Hashtag it's me, Billy too. This community is going to do it. This community is going to bring Billy back again, and we're going to complete the story. We did it once, we can do it again. Like I've been saying all week on this channel, it's not hyperbole, it's a fact. You guys did it. Yeah, we made the movie, but you guys made it possible. That's a fact. That's an actual fact. It's incredible. It's incredible. We got to do it again for Billy too, man. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. Yes, that's a story. So for those of you, I'll just give you the cliff notes. For those of you that don't know what Robert is talking about. When I was a teenager and my dad and my stepmom and my sister went away for the week. They went to a cottage. I didn't because I had to work. And I'm like 17, 18. I don't want to fucking go to that. And so long story short, when you're a teenager, we were like, we could go to a strip club. So we must have been old enough to go to a strip club. And, but how do you get a stripper to come to the house? I mean, we're young and stupid, right? So, there's strippers at bachelor parties and how do you just call one up? Like, how does that work? So we went to the Yellow Pages, for those of you, the phone book, and we saw an escort. Now, we had no idea what an escort was. We had no idea. So I called, and I've told this on the channel before. So I called and described the kind of girl we wanted to show up, and the half an hour Later, the doorbell rings. We're in suits, by the way. We all dressed in I had a suit, and my friends Brian and Evan dressed up in my father's suits. We're in suits. Why are we in suits? Because we're fucking teenagers, and we think that's going to impress her. And so the doorbell rings, and again, I'm giving you the Cliff Notes version here, but the doorbell rings. I go to the door. I open the door. I'm thinking it's a stripper. I open the door, and standing in front of me is one butt ugly looking, like, 60-year-old, like, I don't even know what the hell is it. She comes into the kitchen. I don't even know why I invited her into the kitchen. I think I was in shock. And she says, "Oh, there's 3 of you." And we're like, "Well, yeah, who cares, right?" And she's like, "Oh, well, I guess I can do you one at a time." And at that moment, we were like, "Oh, you're not you're a oh." And we're like, no, we don't want to, no. And she's like, "Oh, well, so we actually asked her to leave. We had to pay her like $20. I mean, I don't know if her fucking pimp with a shotgun is out in the car or something, and if we don't pay her gas money, he's going to come in here and blow our heads off. We didn't know. So we gave her $20, and we, now you would think that would be like, you know what, that's it. We're not going to do it. We'll just go to a strip club. No, we call back. We're like, "Hey, listen, that wasn't the kind of girl we wanted. Do you think maybe you could," now again, we're teenagers, right? You know, you do dumb shit when you're teenagers. So we describe the girl we want. We want this is how we look. And okay, all right. Half an hour goes by. This green van rolls up, and we could hear like, what the fuck's going on out there? There's a bunch of them out there in the van. One comes out, comes up to the door, knocks on the door. I open the door. It doesn't look anything like the woman we asked for. She was a bit younger, but not even close. And we're like, what the hell is going on? So we're like, you know what? We can't do that. So I had no money. I had no money to pay her gas. And she wasn't going to leave. It's like, "Hey, listen, if you don't want me to fucking do this up here, then you got to pay me to leave." And we're like, "Oh, fuck, I had no money." So I rode my bike. That's what Richard is talking about. Or excuse me, Robert is talking about. I rode my bike down to a fucking convenience store, went to the ATM or ABM, whatever you say in the States. Here, I think it's ATM. The automated teller machine, or maybe it's both, ABM, whatever. And I take like 20 or 40 bucks out. I ride my bike right back to my house. I left my friends with the hooker in my house, and I come back, 40 bucks. Yeah, okay, great, thank you my best, and they leave. And we're like, you know what? That's it. Let's just go to the strip club. So that's what we did. We just went to the strip club, but we wasted like $60. We could have spent that $60 on a lap dance at the strip club. Insane. Oh, to be dumb and stupid. Daisy McMillan, risky business, Dave. Yeah, yes. It's so silly. Like, I think about it now and I'm like, you know, it's so, but we're kids, right? You know, like, you're like, how do you get a stripper to come to your house? What do you do? You know, let's just go to the phone book. You know, well, there's escort services, hot, sexy women. I guess that must be it. So stupid. Oh, that first woman that showed up. I mean, it was like the Wicked Witch of the West that showed up. It's like, what the fuck is going on? You know? Anyway, back to your regularly scheduled program. Cody's laughing his balls off. It's true. It's a true story. If Evan and Brian were here right now, they would be going, yep. I should get those guys on the channel. I wonder if they would come on. That'd be fun to have them on. All right, I got all the super chats right. Not missing any super chats. I don't think I've missed any super chats. I don't think so. This is a fun Friday night. Stories galore. All right. Let me see here. Nick P says, you can use this story to make a cheesy slasher film, Hooker Slashers. Oh, Nick P. Nick, I need like a fucking sound effect for Nick. Do I have any sound effects? I don't have any sound effects like that. I have I got that, but I can't use that. Ooh, Hooker Slashers. Ooh, now that is definitely a 1981 B movie, golden age of slashers and horror movies. That's what that is. 100% that's what that is. But you know what? If there's a will, there's a way, and maybe, maybe, man, maybe, I don't know. That'd be so funny. Christian Blizzard says, thoughts on Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. I have not seen. I know what you're talking about, but I have not seen it. That is one I have not seen. So, yeah. Next Gen Studio says, Revenge of the Hooker Slashers from Outer Space Part 5. It's totally that kind of movie. Totally. And you'd have these dumb guy teenagers like we were, who's sitting around. It'd be such an easy movie. Blumhouse, if you're watching. Blumhouse, if you were watching. I know maybe you wouldn't give me the reins to direct it, but I could send you a treatment. I could pitch it to you. It's not really a Blumhouse film, is it? Oh, no, actually it is. It totally is. Hooker slashers. Well, maybe not. Maybe not today. It's not an A24 movie, I'll tell you that. I'm telling you right now, hooker slashers, that's what it is. It's about these guys, these dumb teenagers sitting around. Parents have gone away. What are we going to do? You want to go to a strip club? Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, we could do that. But how about we bring them here? Ooh. And who shows up? The hooker slashers. I'm in. Swifty says, Dave, have you seen Haunting of Hill House by Mike Flanagan? I have not. Hear that it's good. Isn't that a sequel? Isn't there the Haunting of Hill House and the Haunting of some other house or whatever? There's a couple of them, right? I think they're miniseries, right? No, I've not seen it. Deverett Grant says, hi, what's your favorite A Nightmare on Elm Street movies list in order? Well, I think I have a ranking on my channel, but if I was to rank the Elm Street films in order, I would say that it really goes in order, to be honest with you. The first one is my favorite. My second favorite is Elm Street 2. My third favorite would be Elm Street 3, and then Elm Street 4, and then 5, and then 6. I think 6 is the worst. So it really goes in order for me. Yep, it does. It goes in order. Now, I know Wes Craven's New Nightmare is, for all intents and purposes, Elm Street 7. I never include that in the original run. Like when I'm ranking, or not necessarily ranking, but when I'm thinking about the series, New Nightmare feels like a standalone to me. It doesn't feel like part of the 1 through 6. So that's why I gave the order I did. If I was including New Nightmare, then I would probably go 1, 2, depending on the day, 1, 2, New Nightmare, then 3, or 1, 2, 3, New Nightmare, 4, 5, 6, or something like that. And Freddy vs. Jason, I just don't care about. But yeah, I think, yeah. Something like that. Ooh, Geeked Out Turtle Fan 42 says hooker zombies. Yeah, that's a B movie if I've ever seen one. But you got to make it like Sharknado. So you got to make it like it knows exactly what it is. It knows exactly what it is, and it makes no apologies for it. It knows exactly what it is and makes no apologies for it. That's what I think you need to do. Sharknado. And the hookers fly. They fly and they like shoot like, you know, venom from their eye sockets. Terrible fucking movie. Terrible movie. Super chat comes in from Children of the Corn. That's a good movie. The first one's a good movie. I like the movie. $4.99. Thanks, buddy. Says, first live stream and dig the input, David. Excuse me. David Bruckner has some great titles. New Hellraiser adaptation was brilliant. What? Oh, that's right. That's right. That's who did The Ritual and the Night House, right? I think. What are your favorite horror franchises? My favorite horror franchises? I'm pretty vanilla, I think, when it comes to my favorite horror franchises. Halloween. Now, again, that doesn't mean that I like everything about the franchises, or I like all the movies in the franchises. But what am I, what do I gravitate towards? What do I get excited about? Well, it would be, the Halloween franchise, the Elm Street franchise, the Friday franchise. I'm pretty traditional. I'm pretty vanilla. You're not going to see me throw in like Leprechaun or Children of the Corn or, Pumpkinhead or Hellraiser or anything like that. They're usually always on the peripheral for me. And I know that's vanilla. I know. But you know what? It's good vanilla. It's good. Sometimes vanilla, it's a little vanilla, but sometimes it's good. Just saying. So that's kind of where I am, I think, with it. Scream. I mean, I don't mind the Scream. I'm not a big Scream fan. I'm not a big fan of the franchise. Scream would be like, I would put Elm Street, Friday, Halloween in terms of what I would gravitate to watch and things like that above Scream for sure. And when it comes to Scream, I'm probably only gonna watch the first one. But I don't hate the movies. They're just, I don't know. But I am looking forward to 6 and seeing what they do and how they're going to change it up. I am looking forward to that. It should be interesting, no doubt about it. Sebastian says, mega, oh man, mega, oh no, what's happening? Oh no, did your dog pass away? Sorry to hear that, Maga Cat. My condolences. Very sorry to hear that. That's too bad. It's never easy to lose an animal. I mean, they are part of the family. They are. It's too bad that cats and dogs, which are the predominant pets, obviously, that people have, it's too bad they don't live like parrots or tortoises. I mean, a tortoise could live to 85. A parrot can live to 73. I mean, it's so unfortunate that the lifespan of a dog and a cat, depending on the breed and the size, is like, what, 12 to 15 years, really. I mean, yes, cats can live to 18, 19. There are unusual circumstances where cats can even pass 20, but generally speaking, the average is like, 15 to 17 or whatever. It's too bad. I mean, Veda is already 9. She's 9. She just turned 9. I mean, hopefully if I keep her healthy and she is an indoor cat, which is good. I'm hoping she'll get I got another 10 years with her. I hope. It's just so sad. I hate that shit. Children of the Corn follows up with $1.99, says favorite subgenre and overall favorite horror film. Well, my favorite horror film of all time is the original Halloween from 1978. To nobody's surprise, I'm sure. My favorite subgenre of horror is probably psychological. If you had asked me 30 years ago, when I was a teenager, I probably would have said, slasher, or something like that. And not that, again, I don't say that trying to be condescending. If you're 40, 50 and slasher is your favorite subgenre, all the power to you. But for me, and I only speak for myself, as I've gotten older, and it started like years ago, I really find myself gravitating towards, to no surprise to all of you out there, because I've beaten the dead horse about this on my channel, more of the theater of the mind, the mood, the atmosphere, the psychological. I really appreciate that. So that is my favorite subgenre. And Halloween is my favorite horror movie. Now, Halloween is considered a slasher movie because you have a villain who is killing teenagers with bladed tools, or with a bladed tool. So yes, it does fall into the slasher subgenre category, but it is very tame by today's standards. There is a psychological component to the original Halloween, and I think maybe that's why I tend to like a lot of the older installments in the franchises more than the later installments. I think that's why. Now, A Nightmare on Elm Street aside, because there is a lot of blood and slashing in the original Elm Street, but I love that first movie. But you look at Black Christmas, same kind of thing, right? Friday the 13th, there's blood and guts in that, but the original Friday the 13th from 1980 has has more of a psychological component than the later sequels do because you don't know who the killer is, and that's kind of interesting. So yeah. Not that I can't watch a slasher, not that I can't have a good time. I always will. But my favorite would be the psychological horror. And favorite horror movies, Halloween, the original Halloween. Sebastian, $1.99 says, thoughts on Quentin Tarantino making Halloween. Thoughts on Quentin Tarantino making Halloween? No, I wouldn't want him to make Halloween. Quentin Tarantino makes Quentin Tarantino movies, and if he made Halloween, we'd see Michael for 3 seconds, and it would really just be a character piece and a study about Loomis if Quentin Tarantino wanted to direct a couple of episodes of a Halloween series, maybe that might be interesting. But a feature film, Halloween feature film? No, I don't want a Quentin Tarantino Halloween feature film. No. He'd be too avant-garde and artsy-fartsy with it, I think. But maybe not. Maybe he'd be amazing. I don't know. Leanna Beverage? Am I saying that right? Beverage. Maybe I nailed it somewhere in there. My apologies, Leanna, but you say, I feel like special effects destroyed nuance in a lot of ways. That's an astute observation, Leanna. I think it is, funny enough, I think it's more nuanced than that, but I think you are correct in a lot of ways. When filmmakers become reliant on special effects, then they don't rely on their skills as much as a storyteller or as a filmmaker to create suspense or create that theater of the mind that can be so effective because we have a monster that we're going to show. It's not that CGI is bad. There is a place for it. But the best modern day horror movies are the ones that balance it. Like The Invisible Man. Love that movie, right? The Night House, The Ritual, right? They balance it out with great storytelling, slow mood, atmosphere. Even the first Conjuring, the very first Conjuring film, is probably and the first Insidious are probably one of the two better modern day Hollywood studio released horror films. Now they do get sensational towards the end, especially The Conjuring, but it is a possession movie. So you understand that you gotta deliver the goods at some point. But that first Conjuring especially, is all mood and atmosphere and slow burn and building up and building up and building up. And same with that first Insidious. And I love those films, like those two films especially. But as sequels tend to go on, like The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, there's crazy special effects in the first 8 minutes of that movie. We've already peaked, where can we go? And it loses its effect, right? We become desensitized to it. So I do agree with you. Again, it's more nuanced. Obviously, there's a lot of variables, but I do think, being reliant on special effects to scare your audience is never a good thing. There are filmmakers out there doing tremendous work in the psychological subgenre, theater of the mind, kind of thing. And to me, it's the best. It's the best. It's not that there isn't room for all. There's room for everybody at the table. But come on, think to a movie that is like that, theater of the mind, psychological. Think to your favorite one. In my mind, there's just no comparison. There's no comparison of like, wow, this is really good. Or, you know, you're done the movie and you're like, fuck, that was so good. Because it gets you in here. It gets you in here. You know what I mean? It's all about being, you know, feeling it, you know? I hear you. I hear you. Sebastian follows up with another $1.99 and says, will you ever cover Halloween comics or old scripts? No, probably not. Probably not. It's not really something I'm interested in. I do have a video on my channel where I did talk about, I showed the, what is it? Is it Cosmic Chaos? Is that what it is? I can't remember now. I have the very first comic that Michael Myers ever appeared in. And I actually got it from Mickey Yablans, who is the son of Erwin Yablans, creator of Halloween. When I was having dinner with Mickey at their house a few years ago, he gave me a copy. He had a bunch of them and he gave me a copy. And there is a video on my channel where I showed a bit of it. It's really cool, but I'm not a comic collector. I don't collect memorabilia in that sense. I mean, if somebody sends me shit, great. But I'm not going to go out of my way to collect comics or read scripts or anything like that. I have thought about, and the reason why I haven't done it is just because of a time thing. It takes up a lot of time. I have thought about reading the original script for the original Halloween as sort of kind of like an audiobook, right? And reading that and uploading it to the channel here. But that takes a lot of work. It's a lot of work, right? And, you know, it's a lot of time and energy. You know, and it's not something I'm hired to do. So that's really the reason why I haven't done it yet. Now, there is a video on my channel from about 4 or 5 years ago where I read the opening scene, like the scene when Michael is 6 years old. And I think I do have a bit of like music in there and a bit of wind and atmosphere. I think it's got to be from like 2017 or 2018. That's on my channel somewhere. So if you were to YouTube like Dave McRae Halloween script or something, it might pop up. I've thought about doing it, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, guys. It's a lot of work. But I thought that'd be kind of fun. All right, what are we doing here? We're at 2 hours and 11 minutes. 2 hours and 11 minutes hanging out on this Friday night. Nick P says, just curious, what's your opinion on Giallo films like Bella and Argento? Since you're a big fan of Black Christmas, I figured they'd be right up your alley. I'm not as familiar with those, obviously, as mainstream sort of films, North American films. But there are a few films that I have seen. And I'm trying to think now of what are some. Let me just see if I can get a. What are some films that I have seen? Oh, I had that caps lock on. My apologies for that. Let me see here. So yeah, Suspiria, obviously I've seen, which is really good, but I didn't want to say that because that's kind of obvious. Yeah. I've seen the movie Torso, 1973. I liked that movie, actually. I thought that was a good movie. I've seen Opera. Ooh, I haven't seen that, but I've been wanting to see that one. Blood and Black Lace. But I haven't seen that one. I'm just looking at a list here. Suspiria, obviously. I've seen that. That's good. But that's like a go-to for everybody, right? Deep Red, I haven't seen. Like there's a bunch of, like there's some I've seen and some I haven't, but usually it hasn't been in a while. But stylistically, I've always really liked the style of those horror movies. There's something about it that is, and you're right, because I am a big fan of the original Black Christmas, you are right. There is a, stylistically, and maybe it's because a lot of those films are from the 70s, you know, so in terms of production value and the film aesthetic and the feel and the vibe, it does have a very, some of them do have that vibe. But I need to watch more. I need to have like a crash, not a crash course, but I need to like have a refamiliarize myself with these films, because Suspiria I haven't seen in years. I haven't seen that in years. And Torso, I mean, geez, it's been a long time too. I used to watch a lot of those films when I was a kid, because we could rent them, and we were able to, it was very difficult to get your hands on them. But if you could get your hands on them, we would rent them, and I would watch them as a kid. But a lot of these movies, like a lot of the Giallo films, I haven't seen in years. And there's more, there's more than those two. There's probably about 7 or 8 that I used to watch. And I had a couple of them on, I used to have Suspiria on VHS, but I don't know what happened to it. But it was an old copy that I was able to get. You know what I mean? So, the answer is yes, but obviously not. I'm not as neck deep into it as some people are. But to your point, you are correct in terms of the style of those films. Some are better than others, but there are some where you're like, oh, this is really good. There's like a shock. There's like a shocking thing about those movies, you know, especially the old ones, you know, from the 70s, you know. I mean, that's sort of their heyday, but yeah. For sure. They don't make them anymore, you know. They don't. I mean, they do, but they don't, you know. And I would love it. I would love it if they brought back that style on a regular basis. That's a good question. Yeah, Nick P says, I love the art and style of Giallo. Yeah, same. Yeah. There's a, it's all about mood and atmosphere, you know, to your point, right? It is. I mean, not all, but you know what I mean, right? Yeah, for sure. And anytime you're watching an old 70s movie, could be creepy. David Coe sends in $4.99 and says, the Oscar nominations are out. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited is Tony Michael to watch the show? I'm going to say a big fat 0. Yeah, Tony Michael, yeah, no, he's not into award shows. I mean, I'm not really either, but yeah, the Oscar noms are out. I don't really, listen, all I have to say is this. I'm not surprised, because I know A24 was spending a shitload of money to promote this thing, and everybody and their uncle and their uncle's dog seems to think it's phenomenal. And that's great. My girlfriend and I watched the movie last year, and we liked it. We thought it was, it was fun. But I'm like, Everything Everywhere All at Once has 11 Academy Award nominations. Okay, it wasn't that good. That's how I feel about it. But I do understand from a direction standpoint, I totally understand why the directors were nominated, because that film is all direction. I mean, there's effects in there too, obviously, but I get why. I would be very perplexed if it wasn't nominated for Academy Awards, you know, best director, best visual effects, whatever. I get that, but best picture, best director, best actor, best actress, I'm like, what the fuck? It must be a slow year. Because I just don't get it. And it's only because I didn't like it as much as other people. That's why. That's it. I did not like it. I thought it was good. I thought it was fun. And I can totally understand why people I get the appeal. I can understand it. Maybe it's just because on first watch, there was a few moments that was confusing to me, and I had to rewind and then go for, you know what I mean? There was a few stops and starts to make sure I was still keeping up with all the transitions and what was going on. Maybe that's why. Maybe my viewing experience was just not as fun as it should have been or could have been. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It's certainly not. It's all editing and direction, which is, so yeah, like an Academy Award for best editing, best director. I totally get that. But I mean, holy shit, it's sweeping. It's not the most that's ever been nominated, but it's up there. And I think it's going to sweep. I do. I think it's going to win. I think it will win Best Picture. I do. And I'm just like, really? Okay. All right. But hey, but I mean, I'm not going to be like, what? Like it's not a Shakespeare in Love Saving Private Ryan thing where it's like, really? Fuck off. Sit down, Harvey Weinstein, you sack of shit. You know what I mean? You fucking little piece of shit. It's not that kind of thing. It's like Everything Everywhere All at Once won Best Picture. Oh, okay. All right. Sure. Okay, sure. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how I feel about it. But like Jamie Lee, and don't get me wrong, Jamie Lee Curtis was great in the role. She was great. But Academy Award nominated for it? Really? Okay, I guess. That's kind of how I feel, and as much as it's an amazing story for Ke Huy Quan, I think is, name is. Like, I love it. I love that the movie was successful. I love that the movie is getting a lot of praise. I love that everybody loves the movie. I love that he's amazing. He's amazing. We all love him, right? And sincerely, he's adorable. And I don't mean that in a pretentious way. I mean that in like a real inspiring way. Sincerely, I think it's an amazing story, right? Who doesn't love the Temple of Doom and the Goonies? Well, Darren Sands from the Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast doesn't like the Goonies. But I'm just saying, right? I love the story, the comeback story. I love it. But Academy Award worthy? He was good. It was fine. Oscar? What? Like, I have to admit, I was perplexed at how many Oscar noms Everything Everywhere All at Once got. I was like, oh, okay, I guess. All right. That's kind of how I feel about it. Maybe I need to watch it again and maybe it'll blow my mind, but I just didn't think it was amazing as everybody else thought it was. But that's me. I did not like it. I just was 11. Slow year, maybe. I don't know. Brad Blitch sends in $4.99. Thanks, Brad. Says, Friday. Got to get down on Friday. Oh, isn't that? I know the song. I know what that is. Sad that I lost my phone with the pic of you and I from H4. Oh no! You going to H45 Con? P.S. Can we get a But Dave? Yeah, so I'll give you one. But Dave! I haven't said that in a while. Brad, I mean, obviously I met a lot of people. I don't recall the photo we took together, but I have no doubt that we did. That's too bad, man. That's too bad. Yeah, the H4 convention in Pasadena was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and I had a great time, and meeting fans, and I don't mean fans of me. I just mean like Halloween fans. It was a lot of fun. Am I going to Halloween 4 or 5? Maybe. I don't know yet, because obviously It's Me, Billy, Chapter 2 is, by then we'll be well into pre-production. So hopefully if we can raise the money, I know I keep saying that, I'm just saying we got to raise the money, right? Now we're not shooting at the end of September. I think the convention, the plan is the end of September, beginning of October, if I'm not mistaken. Now, obviously, we wouldn't be shooting Billy 2 at that time, but we'd be well into pre-production. So depending on what's happening with me, I may not be able to attend. But if it's all clear and I have nothing going on, then I don't see why I won't be there. But as of right now, It depends. It depends on a number of factors. But yeah, I mean, the H45 con is going to be big, man. I mean, you would think it's going to be big. I would imagine it's going to take place back in Pasadena. I think so anyway. And yeah, so I don't know, man. I don't know. It's going to be fun. Get your tickets. Are the tickets on sale? I don't think they are. I actually don't think they've made an official announcement yet. Sebastian sends in $1.99 and says, what if you made the Exorcist reboot? What will you do? I love these questions. What if you ate a ham sandwich? How would it taste? Good. But it would taste good. What would I do? Sebastian, I would make it a very small picture about mood, atmosphere, tension, suspense, and character driven. That's what I would do. Arnold sends in $1.99 and says, you ever wanted to eat poop out of a diaper? About 3 times a year, I want to eat shit out of a diaper. So, now sometimes it used to be 5 times. Okay, it used to be 5 times. But now I've gotten it down to 3. So at least it's 3 and not 5, right? Because 5 is like, okay, I mean, 5 is just fucking, I mean, that's too much. That's too much. But 3 times, and next year, if I can get it down to 2, not bad, right? The year after that, down to 1, not bad, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm slowly weaning off shit from a diaper. All right. Thanks, Arnold. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Scrolling. I'm seeing a lot of new faces in here on this Friday night. I'm digging it. A lot of people talking amongst each other. I love that too. It's great stuff. Dan Curley says, if you could write your own Halloween movie, where would you go with it? Oh, I would go back to the 50s. I'd go back to the 1950s, like Tony, Michael, and I discussed on Two Dudes and Some Bullshit, and I would tell a story in the 1950s. Black and white film noir. Dr. Loomis wouldn't be a doctor. He'd be a Chicago, Illinois detective. And he'd wear like a trench coat and a fedora. And he'd come to Haddonfield to he's a big city cop coming to the small town of Haddonfield to investigate the unusual murders that are taking place. And that's what I would do with it. That's what I'd do with it. Harry Hagen, my man, Harry Hagen sends in $10. Thanks, Harry. Appreciate that, man. Says, what do you think of my movie idea? 2 brothers are born into a mafia. One changes his mind and becomes a priest. The film focuses on the dynamic and complexity of their relationship. Intriguing or meh? I think that is very intriguing. It sounds like a film that... Is there a story out there that already does that? I don't know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But Harry, yeah, I'm digging that. Like that is a log, like that would be a log line right there, right? That'd be a log line. 2 brothers are born into the mafia. One changes his mind and becomes a priest. It's like, oh, I mean, the dynamic between, like, how does that, like, it's polar opposites, right? I mean, that would definitely be a character-driven movie, right? That's all character right there and performance. You know what I mean? So, and stakes, yeah. I mean, it sounds interesting to me. I say write it. Harry. Why not? The Bad Guy sends in $1.99 and says, what's your favorite Saving Private Ryan scene? My favorite Saving Private Ryan scene would be probably the opening. I mean, the first 20 minutes is just incredible filmmaking. By any metric, it's some of Steven Spielberg's best work, hands down, period, end of discussion. I mean, obviously there's not too many of them. I don't know how many World War II veterans are left, but it's getting smaller and smaller every year. But I do know that there are veterans from that time when that movie came out and said that, it was as close to the real thing as possible. I can't even imagine being in that situation. It's scary and just, I can't even imagine it. It's just insane. Absolutely insane. Robert Thidoff says, Dave, just saw The Whale. Great acting, but my God, what a depressing movie. I've heard that. I've heard some people say that they agree that Brendan Fraser, does a phenomenal job, but the movie is kind of a downer. I don't know who's going to win Best Actor. I'm kind of pulling for Austin Butler because, Elvis and, maybe I'm a bit biased, but it wouldn't surprise me if Fraser won. The Academy likes those kinds of stories, so he probably will. He probably will win. Are there going to be any upsets? Are there going to be any massive upsets? Like a massive upset would be, so Everything Everywhere All at Once has been nominated for 11 Academy Awards, right? It wins 2. It wins none. Can you imagine? Could you imagine everything? And it's not, that has happened. Well, I don't know if a film has been nominated for 11 and has won none. I don't know if that statistic has ever happened, but there have been films that have been nominated for like 5 and haven't won any. It does happen. It's not unprecedented. Can you imagine? I'm so bad. There's part of me that's like, that'd be so funny. No. Yes. Brooke Scarlett says, yeah, I'm not really understanding why it's so loved, Rosie. Give me Chucky any day. Oh, you guys are talking. I don't know what Rosie was talking about there, but all right. Maybe Scream. I'm not sure. Oh, did I miss a super chat? No, that's Harry. I got Harry's super chat, right? I think I got your super chat, if I'm not mistaken. Super chat comes in from AK Channel TV. Sends in $1.99 and says, have you ever considered taking anabolic steroids? No. You guys are funny, these questions. No, I have not taken or even thought about taking anabolic steroids. No, I have not. Edward Nito sends in $5. Says, Dave, when it comes to chocolate milk, do you prefer to mix your own or the pre-made stuff? I'm going to say that I prefer the pre-made stuff. Now, there is something that is good with the quick, the Nestle Quick Mix and all that kind of stuff. Do they still have that with the rabbit on it? Is that just a Canadian thing? Nestle's a Canadian country. See, I can't even fucking talk about it. A Canadian company. But I think they have Nestle Quick in the States, right? Maybe not. Anyway. You'll have something like it if you don't. But yeah, the powdered, stuff, and you put it, and then you pour milk, and then you stir it. It's fine, but it never tastes quite as good as. It's fine, but it never tastes quite as good as the store-bought pre-made stuff. But but that also could be a dosage thing. Right? It could be a situation where maybe you're not putting enough chocolate in, and if you put a lot of chocolate in and milk, and then you stir it, then it's got to be really chocolatey, because you run the risk of not putting enough of the chocolate powder in, and then it looks weak. It's a weak chocolate milk. It's a very, very weak chocolate milk. So, yeah. We got Nesquik. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Nesquik. That's what I'm talking about. Well, Nesquik is from the company Nestle, and Nestle is it's a Swiss company, but there's a Canadian connection somewhere. I'm almost positive. I thought there was a Canadian connection. Maybe it's Hershey. Maybe I'm thinking of Hershey. That's what I'm thinking of. Hershey is what I'm thinking of. Hershey is Canadian. Do you guys have Hershey? Well, no, you do, right? Because in Hershey, Pennsylvania, that's where, is it? Wait. Is Hershey Canadian? Maybe it's not. One of these fucking chocolate companies is Canadian. Unless I totally, for God's sakes, come on. Maybe it's not. No, it's an American company. Hershey is American. Well, there's a Canadian connection somewhere, and I don't know where it is now. No, Hershey is American. That's right. Okay, so Hershey's American, Nestle is Swiss. There's something I'm missing. Or I'm having a massive brain fart right now in real time on this channel. Maybe that's what's happening. Yes, so Nesquik. Yeah, we have Nesquik here too. But you see, it all depends. It all depends. You gotta, I don't know, it all depends. The Hatchet Boys say, Dave, where does chocolate milk come from? Is there chocolate cows? Yes. Yes, it comes from chocolate cows and chocolate gerbils, actually. You can milk a chocolate gerbil and get chocolate milk. Listen, you heard it here on the internet. And if you heard it here on the internet, it's not a lie. So there you go. I got that. Wait a minute. I got that. David Coe sends in $4.99. Thank you, David. And says, can you combine Halloween Kills with Resurrection and give us an Evil Dies Tonight motherfucker? I see what you're saying. So it would be Evil Dies Tonight, motherfucker. There you go. AK Channel TV sends in $4.99 and says, the reason I ask is because I want Stu to come back as a 260-pound hulking monster. Can you do the same for Billy in your sequel? Discount heart issues. You want Stu to come back as a 260-pound hulking monster? Well, maybe. I mean, if he was lying in prison, if he was in a coma, depending on how many cheeseburgers and fast food he was eating, it's entirely possible. It's entirely possible. You never know. No, we're not going to do that with Billy, of course. Sebastian sends in $1.99 and says, Dave, I think you'd be better than Justin Trudeau. You think I'd be better than, well, I'm not a politician. Justin Trudeau is, he's an interesting one. We'll just say that. Brooke Scarlett says, you were talking about Megan. Oh, okay, Megan. I still haven't seen Megan. I know it's on VOD now, premium VOD. It's like $25 to rent or whatever. And I'm just like, I'm not spending $25 to rent that shit. I'll just wait till it comes to streaming, or I'll wait till it lowers. Like, I don't mind renting a movie, but I'm not going to rent a movie for 20. If I'm going to rent a movie for $25, it's going to be a movie I am dying to see. Or if I was a full-time like movie reviewer and this was my job, well then I have to, because it's my job. But I'm not spending $25 watching Megan. Sorry, Blumhouse. Sorry. I will wait till you lower that shit to like $4.99. Travis Young says, hey guys, love the show, Dave. Thanks, Travis. When and where did you see Halloween for the first time? Well, probably in my house in Bolton, Ontario, which is just a little town. Well, it's not so little anymore, but back in the early 80s, it was quite small. It's about, maybe 30 minutes north of Toronto. My brother Neil was the one that got me into horror movies. He's the one that got me into Halloween and Friday the 13th and A Nightmare on Elm Street. And Halloween was his favorite horror movie. And I don't know if it was on TV or if we rented it, or I can't remember. Like, I don't have a distinct memory of actually watching it for the first time, but I can tell you that it probably would have been about, 1983, 4. There were only 2 Michael Myers movies when I first watched it. But I was like 5, 6, when I first watched it, 4, 5 or 6. And I loved it. Thought it was great. So I got into horror, like into Freddy, into Michael, into Jason, in and around, like 83, 84, 85, like somewhere in there when I was like, 4 and 5 and 6, is when I got into it. And that's thanks to my brother Neil. So yeah. Static sends in $2, says, Rob Ford was my uncle. Was he? Well, my condolences. Richie Rich says, everybody in here, milk come out the same way. Yeah, Yeah. Well, you don't want milk to come out the wrong way. We'll just tell you. We'll just say that. We'll just say that. Ryan Kenny says, Sick was pretty good for a straight to Peacock movie. You should definitely watch that, Dave. Well, I don't have Peacock. We don't get Peacock here in Canada. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the pandemic scream. Yes, I know it is a pandemic scream. I don't know. Can you get it elsewhere beyond Peacock? Is it on VOD yet? You see, we have something in Canada called Crave, and Crave tends to pick up a lot of the Peacock HBO Max stuff. We don't get HBO Max here either. I don't know when Universal and Warner Brothers are going. Now, I know I could get a VPN and do it that way, but I don't know when Universal is going to, branch off. There's a streaming service here in Canada called Crave, which tends to pick up, content from the services we don't get. We get Netflix, we get Disney Plus, we get Prime. But I don't have Crave. We get Paramount, but I don't have Crave. And I'm not about to add another streaming service to my fucking streaming service bill every month just to watch a movie. So I'll wait because you'll be able to rent it off of, I don't care enough to watch it. You know what I mean? To go through the process. I gotta get a VPN. I gotta sign up for Peacock, and I don't care. I will watch it when it becomes available to rent on YouTube or it hits Netflix. But I do want to check it out. I'm curious, to see how good or bad it is. Let's see how long we going here. Ooh, you know what? Let's fucking take this thing. Let's take this thing to 3 hours, folks. Let's take this sucker to 3 hours. Let's do it. That'll be 2 3-hour streams I've done this week and 1 2-hour stream. Folks, you've gotten some good Dave McRae this week. Of course, that could be taken out of context and sound really fucked up. Don't say that. Don't use that. But you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm talking about. But I had some time tonight. I was like, I got some, let's fucking hang out again. Let's just chill and hang out. I was MIA for a few weeks there around the holidays and the beginning of the year. So I'm just making up some time for you, all you people. Bobby Hall says, Dave, how about Sheriff Barker's series? It's about him never taking anything seriously and criminals always getting away. Well, that would be that. I don't even think you need a series with that. I think you can do that in one show. Or maybe it's a mini series. Fuck it, it's a series. Let's do it. It's a series. It's a comedy, and I think we put in a 1980s laugh track. So there's a laugh track in there. There is a laugh track in there. Why not? Why not? Let's do it. Let's do it. Chester Franklin Jr. says, Dave, are you good eating spicy food? Yes or no? No, not really spicy food. I'm one of those people that if it's really spicy, my nose will begin to run. So it's just an unpleasant experience. I don't like eating food feeling like I have a cold. My nose, it's an uncomfortable experience. But do I like spicy things? Yeah, mild spice. Like, a touch of spice where you're like, oh, that's kind of spicy. That's not bad. I don't mind that. But I'm not somebody that's like, it's so spicy. It's so good. No, it's fucking uncomfortable, man. Eating is supposed to be a pleasant experience, and I don't want to suffer through fucking hot chicken wings or pasta or whatever it is. I'm sitting there going, this is so good. It's just fucking unpleasant. And if you're with your girl or your guy or a bunch, it's embarrassing. Hey guys, I don't like it. Getting blowing your nose and shit. You're suffering as you're eating. I don't like it. So a little bit of spice, a little bit of something. It's got a tinge to it. I don't mind that. I like that, but not something where I feel like I'm like dying. You know what I mean? No. Meyer says, Dave, have you seen Megan yet? No, we were just talking about that. I have not seen Megan yet. Not yet. No, I didn't. I'm not going to rush out to the theater to see that. I'll wait till it comes to. And I know it's on like premium VOD right now, but like I said, it's like $25 to rent. I'm like, no, I'm not spending. No, I will wait till the price comes down. Sorry, Blumhouse. Sorry. Ryan Kinney says, Sick was pretty good for a straight to Peacock movie. You should definitely watch that, Dave. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the pandemic. Oh, no, I just read that. I just read that. Hello. I just read that. Okay. Have I got all the super chats? I think I have. I don't think I'm missing any. I don't think, anyway, but you never know. All right, what do we got? We got 50, just under 20 minutes left in the show, folks. Just under 20 minutes left in the show. BT pa 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 pa. Okay, got that. Yes, Sebastian says, I love to eat at Buffalo Wild Wings. Yeah, we got Buffalo Wild Wings here in Canada too. Or maybe you're Canadian, I'm not sure. My mouth can take the spice. It's been places. Well, I don't want to know where your mouth has been, folks. I don't want to know where your mouth has been. Get your mind out of the gutter. The Hatchet Boys. Spicy food is never good coming out the next day, especially if you got hemorrhoids. Yeah, that's true. It's always nice to see the chat get so personal. I'm not a big spicy fan. Like, again, a little bit of spice, but not something that's going to make me run to the washroom. Let's see here. Jigsaw 44. So he wants Stu to come back as Bane. Yes, Jigsaw. Exactly. And you can't understand Stu under the mask either. You can't even understand him. It's like, what did he say under the mask? I don't even know what's going on here. It's a Stu Bane, and Stu is jacked. He's bigger than Bane. He's bigger. He's massive. He's way bigger than Tom Hardy. He's jacked. He's bigger than The Rock. He's jacked. Yeah. So when you see him running, the ghost face costume he looks like a fucking transport truck. He's like running like I would love to see something like that. He's absolutely jacked. Oh my God, that'd be so fun. That'd be so much fun. Let me see here. What do we got going on? Spidey Fan 1993 says, if Donald Pleasance came back from the dead today, what would his reaction be to learning they are still making Halloween movies? Probably surprised. But you know what? I mean, I think he'd be a part of them. And I think he'd go to conventions. I think if Donald Pleasance were around today and he was in good enough health, I think he'd go to conventions. I think I could see Deborah Hill going as well. See, John Carpenter just doesn't give a fuck. John Carpenter just doesn't care. You know, he's that's John Carpenter, right? And Jamie Lee Curtis doesn't give a shit either. I mean, listen, I'm not saying she's a horrible person. I'm not saying John Carpenter's a horrible person. I'm just saying that Jamie Lee Curtis has made it very clear that she doesn't like horror movies. I don't believe a word that comes out of her mouth during her press tours when it comes to Halloween. Let me rephrase that. She's very good at hyping things up. She's very good at using hyperbole, at going to the extreme to make things feel like it's the best fucking thing since sliced bread. When I don't believe for 1 second she believes that. I'm not saying she thinks it's crap. I'm just saying that she's going to the extreme. You know what I mean? Like just, it's a trauma and it's wonderful. It's a masterpiece. Like, shut the fuck up. I don't believe that for one flippin' second. I don't. But she's very good at hype. She's good at the hype train, right? It's her job. You know what I mean? But she's also made it very clear that she doesn't like horror movies. She hates them. So now, will she be at the 45th anniversary convention? Probably not. Maybe. There's a couple things I know that I can't say. I'm hoping I'll be able to share it. But I was told a few things that I can't say. But I'll just say that it's unlikely, but you never know. But unlikely. So, you know, but she doesn't like conventions. So she doesn't care. But I think Donald Pleasance would go. If he was of sound in mind and his health was good, I could see him sitting there. And I could see Deborah Hill sitting there too. Static says, bro, who owns a Donald Pleasance autograph? I have it. $5 million. No, I don't have it. Cody Snyder says, Sebastian, is that a joke or did you seriously forget Harrison Ford? Sebastian, I'm not sure what's going on here. Talking about something. Don't really know. Let's see here. What do we got? We got, just over 10 minutes left in the show. Just over 10 minutes left in the show. Brooke Scarlett says, Donald Pleasance's presence is sorely missed in these newer movies. I agree. It's too bad that Dr. Sartain wasn't developed, again, not to replace Donald, but I actually like the Dr. Sartain character. I think he could have been an incredible window for that because he, the story goes, he worked under Dr. Loomis. He knows Michael. I just didn't like the motivation they gave his character and the twist that they did. But I liked the actor. I liked his accent. I liked his gravitas. I liked him. I liked Dr. Sartain. I just didn't like what they did with Dr. Sartain. But the character himself, I didn't have an issue with. It's too bad that they just got rid of him. They threw him away. And it's like, maybe if they had, it might have been nice to see him come back. I'm not saying like replace Loomis because you can't do that, but just sort of, I don't know, just something more. He just feels wasted to me. He feels wasted. A lot of characters in that trilogy feel wasted, but yeah. 10 minutes to go. 10 minutes in the show, ladies and germs. Let's see here. What do we got? We got 130 people watching. That's good. I think we peaked around 180 today, so that's pretty good. I'm digging that. Cody Snyder says, who needs an autograph? I stole Donald. Well, I stole Donald's corpse. Hey, you know what? You gotta do what you gotta do, right? You gotta do what you gotta do. Get his bones. Stephen Doe says, you and Tony should do a top 10 best worst characters of each horror franchise. Yeah, that might be kind of fun. That's a little similar to what the Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast does and their best and worst. So I'd want to make sure that the Slaughtered Lamb was okay with us doing that. But that'd be a fun topic. Or maybe you should recommend that to the Slaughtered Lamb. They do. I mean, they're all about doing the best and worst of, and it's great stuff. I don't know if they've done specifically best and worst characters of each horror franchise, or of said horror franchise. I'm not sure, but yeah, no, that'd be fun. They certainly do best and worst character of the movies that they do. So, it's always possible. Warren Armour says, make a dark Scooby-Doo. Have Scooby-Doo be Shaggy's nickname for his gun. I don't know if I'd do that, but a dark Scooby-Doo, maybe. We see what's happening with Velma right now. Don't want to touch that. Super chat comes in from Lou. Hey, Lou sends in $4.99 and says, hey, Dave, happy Friday. I hope you are doing well. Question, how excited are you for Godzilla vs. Kong sequel? What would you like to see in the future? I'm not overly excited. I mean, I didn't love Godzilla vs. Kong. I mean, it's fun. I mean, my favorite so far in the monster universe is Godzilla King of the Monsters. I think that's the best one. And that gets a lot of shit, and I don't know why. I just don't know why. I mean, I hear the reasoning. I'm just like, guys, it's a monster movie. But the characters, it's a monster movie. What do you want, Shakespeare? I think it's the best one. Wasn't a fan of, I don't really like Kong Skull Island. I don't know. Something about it I don't like. And Kong versus Godzilla, or Godzilla versus Kong, I liked it. I did. Like, it was fun, but I didn't like it as much as Godzilla King of the Monsters. So I'm kind of like, I don't know if is it Godzilla versus Kong again? because it doesn't make any sense. Godzilla kicked his ass. He's nuclear. It made before that movie came out, it was like Kong can't win. Now Kong can get some shots in, sure, but Kong can't win. And I understand that, Kong came over to save Godzilla. I get all that. And I understand why they did that. But Godzilla he is literally nuclear. It just can't happen. So like a rematch between the two makes no sense whatsoever. If anything, it should be about, like, Kong has gone to the center of the earth now, I believe. If anything, it should be about Godzilla and Kong teaming up to save the world by an outside threat, maybe from like another planet or something like that. That's what I would like to see. That's what I would like to see. Something like that. So I know that, we're loosely calling it Godzilla versus Kong 2, but it shouldn't be a versus Kong again. It shouldn't be that. That makes no fucking sense. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. I hope it's more about teaming up and seeing other monsters and things like that. But my favorite so far is Godzilla King of the Monsters. I think it's great. I mean, not great. I don't mean it's great. Like, it's a great piece of cinema. I just mean that it's good. It's my favorite one. It's my favorite one. All right, we got 6 minutes to go, folks. 6 minutes to go. I am like spent 3 hours on here. I'm going to have a shower after this and maybe watch a movie and have a snack or something. I am spent. Dan Curley says, Dave, you see Orphan Kills? Not yet. Cameron Woodward Davis still on. I know. We're coming up to the 3 hour mark. This is the second 3 hour stream I've done. I won't be doing a stream now probably till Monday nights, 2 dudes and some bullshit, which should be a good show. Let's see here. Okay, I've got all the super chats, right? I don't see any angry faces. Nobody's complaining that I missed their super chat. Just want to make sure. Just want to make sure I haven't missed anything. Okay. Cameron Woodward says, Dave, are you an actual San Francisco Giants fan or just the colors? No judgment. No, it's just the colors. It's just the hat. I wear all sorts of hats. My favorite hockey team is the Buffalo Sabres, but you'll see me wear a Toronto Maple Leafs hat. I mean, I'm from Toronto, so, whatever. I have the Blue Jays hats. They are my favorite baseball team. But I have, San Francisco Giants hat. I just like the colors, the orange, the black. I'd love to get one actually the one that I have has the orange beak. I'd like to get one where it's just all black with just the SF. There's a lot of just logos and hats to teams that I really like, in terms of the way they look and all that, not necessarily the team. Like, I don't have any allegiance to, the Giants or anything. I have a Yankees hat, which I like, but I just like the hat. You know what I mean? I used to wear a Yankees hat all the time in college. There's photos of me in college where I just have a Yankees hat. They're not my favorite team or anything. Nah, I'm just a hat guy, right? I have a lot of hats. But I'm not bald. For those of you that are new and think that I'm bald, I'm not bald. I have a full head of hair. I'm just a hat guy. And 9 times out of 10 when I do these shows, I have like bedhead because I haven't done anything. I haven't done anything. So I'm like, you know what? I'll just throw a hat on and go on. Jason Russell? Is it Russell? There's a couple of ways you can say your last name. I've heard it said a couple of names, a couple of ways, excuse me. Could be Russells too. Anyway, Dave, how are your Sabres doing? They are doing not great, but they have been playing okay, where they are knocking on a wild card spot. I still don't think they're going to make it, but they might. I don't think they're going to go anywhere, but you never know. You never know. So I'm pleasantly surprised. 3 minutes to go. War and Armor. How's Bruce doing? He's doing good. Don't worry. He's going to be on the channel a lot this year, especially once the Billy thing really gets going. And like I've been saying, we're going to have an announcement for the Indiegogo campaign very, very soon. So be on the lookout for that. The announcement in the sense of the date. We're finally going to be able to give you a date of when the campaign will launch for It's Me, Billy Chapter 2. Russell. Russell. Okay, so Russell. Okay, all right. I've seen that pronounced like Rousel. I've seen it like, as a voice actor, let me just tell you a story. Sometimes you'll see me try to phonetically sound names out. Yes, Russell, of course. But sometimes I'll phonetically sound names out. Over the years as a voice actor, especially when I was doing narration for like TV shows and stuff, you would get, like when I did 2 seasons of 4 Weddings Canada, I did 2 seasons of What's for Sale with a View. I did a full season of Final 24. I've done a lot of narration. Not recently. I've more recently over the years, it's more just the commercial and the promo work. But when I was doing a lot of narration, I would see names either of like the guests on the show or whatever. I have to say their names. And it would look like a name that I've said 1,000 times. And then it's like, oh, no, it's actually not pronounced, Devon. It's actually, Devioni, or something. And I'm like, what? Okay, Devion, like, you know what I mean? Like somebody adds like a spin to it or something. We've all seen that before. I'm not saying your name is that, like that. Russell, yeah. Okay, yeah. No, that makes sense. I was probably thinking too hard about it, but it's just built into me that I'll see a word and I'll be like, it probably is just the normal way of saying it, but the voice actor goes, okay, this could be that, but it could be this. You know what I mean? I do it too much. It's because it's ingrained into my brain. I have to let that go and just fucking say the name. And if I'm wrong, you'll correct me. All right, we're at 3 hours, ladies and germs. We are at 3 hours, another 3-hour stream, a 3-hour tour. Gilligan's Island. I think that was a 6-hour. Was it a 3-hour tour? I can't remember. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this. It was impromptu. It wasn't planned. Friday night hangout, just talking movies, talking nonsense, telling stories, just hanging out with each other and having fun. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me here on this Friday night. Thank you to my great moderators, of course, Frank Riker, Tabitha Shore, Darren Sands, Chris Baber, Cody Snyder, and Andrew Stevens. I really, really appreciate all the things that you do. And thank you to the Super Chat questions that came in today as well, and those non-Super Chat ones. Thank you very much for supporting the channel in the ways that you do, for hanging out with me and just chilling and relaxing. Hope you have a great Friday night. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see all of you back here on Monday night for another episode of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. Unless something happens or inspires me that I feel like I need to jump back on, or I don't know, whatever it is. But yeah, hey, comment below and let me know your thoughts about anything we talked about here today on this Friday night hangout. I would love to know. If you want to follow me on social media and you're not already, what are you doing? You can. There are my links right there. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. All my links are in the description. Check them out until your heart's content. And when your heart is content, check them out again. That's going to do it for me. In the meantime and in between time, I will talk to you soon. Cheers.